Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Hollywood After Dark. Today is the 14th of January, 2022. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God you're here with me tonight, talking about Geoff Johns blowing up on the Twitters and Ray Fisher's clapback. All that and more here tonight, Hollywood After Dark. Let's fucking go! Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to the party tonight. This is Friday. Like I said, thank God it's Friday. It's the best day of the week. You know why? Because it's usually where I do the best in tips for doing delivery driving, which is why I'm late tonight. But today was definitely a hell of a day. There was a lot going on in regards to just fandom drama and bullshit. But to kick it all off tonight, I have a very special guest joining me, my friend. Hopefully your friend. You should check him out. Of course, if Dane from Force Diversity. Dane, how's it going, buddy?
What's up, Matt? What's up, H-Wads? How's it going?
Blow your quad, right? I think we're talking about that one. Yeah. Quad Squad is another one. I keep meaning to like find a way to like turn it into a t-shirt, I guess, you know, merchandise down the road as the show kind of blows up a bit more. So I'm doing okay. I can't complain. I like the show. Every week we get some new people popping on in. You know, and they're just like, either you suck or I happen to like your nuanced, very horrible take on things.
But hey, you know what? You're getting a reaction. And how many people can say that, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was getting a reaction on Twitter tonight because of that G4 thing, man. That was really funny, too. Because I basically said that everyone who got mad at that lady proved him right, or proved her right, really, in her commentary. And they don't realize, again, the nuance of what she was saying. They just went to they just talked about the Morgan Webb, Olympia Munn side of it, where it's like, yeah, those women were hired probably in part because they were good looking, but they were also very charismatic. They were knowledgeable, and they were kind of open for anything, which back in the day, you kind of had to be. You know, and I'm not saying, I'm kind of glad we've moved past that, because I look back on some of that older stuff with Olympia Munn. I'm like, that's cringe. Like, it's cringe. Where, I mean, I think she's a very attractive woman, but I just look back at some of those things and I'm like, man, you know, like some of the older jokes I used to make that I don't anymore. And I'm like, ooh, those are pretty bad, you know?
Yep.
So you gotta think about it as the time's going on. But really, when you get people like this that are just like, oh, she's criticizing us. Oh, we can't take it. You just kind of have to, laugh at them.
Yeah, I was kind of crapping on what's his name, Ryan Kinnell we made it like 2-3 minutes into his video about it. It was just like he gave me so much to comment on. Just like every 5 seconds, I was having to pause it to be like, do you see what he's saying here? Essentially, like you said, they don't hear the nuance because they don't hear words. When a woman opens their mouth like that, if it's not like to praise them or to blow them, they're just like, shut it. They just like when the Peanuts kids would hear parents talk, it's like wah 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 wah.
Yeah, but see, they just want to hear right?
Yeah.
But you're right. I think in this case, you know, they also hide behind certain women as well. They also hide behind the women that hang out with them. And they do that because they know that that's obviously a defense they can use. Because if you haven't seen Dane's stream tonight, the Flat Scan Friday, he spent a fair amount of time going over my debate with Jeremy. And I listened to it because I wanted to hear Dane's take. I also wanted to hear myself because, you know, I'm like Patrick Bateman on that front.
You're the kind of guy that likes to jack off in the mirror. I get it.
Not saying I haven't done that. Just saying not all the time.
You sniff your own farts. I get
it. But there's times you catch yourself and you're like, you know, normally I'm kind of a mongoloid, but right now, you know, what can I say? You know, the light's hitting me just right. Maybe the mood's right there. You're like, what's going on there, big boy? Ooh, you are. Anyway, we're not going down that path, but
maybe you're not. But no, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
No, but that's the thing. You said that earlier. You never know what's going to happen when you come over to this show. You just never know. I say things. You know, but yeah, it's those all those group of guys, man. They end up finding themselves at this place where I kind of feel like eventually it's going to catch up to them. I don't know when or where, nor am I advocating for anything, but I almost feel like they know the writing is on the wall at this point.
Yeah.
And you can tell because like they double down. Like, for example, Nerdrotic had put out a tweet about that G4 thing. And he's like, oh, if there's never been like a better promo for us or something. Like if you have a person who's saying, hey, I don't need to hear about you either jerking off to me or jerking off to the other people who were here beforehand. Mm-hmm. That's not really what I would call like, like a promo for your show.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying about Ryan Kinnell's video. Is just like, I can't imagine a woman being like, hey, don't be an abusive, sexist fucking creep to to women on the show and in general and stuff. And then like a whole group of YouTubers and streamers are just like, oh, how dare she? She just doesn't want us in our audience. And it's like, so you're admitting that that's the kind of shit you do. Cool.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the thing with Jeremy last week too, is him basically admitting that they don't actually they take no responsibility and they don't actually care for what is said on their platform. And that was kind of at the end of the day, that was my ultimate goal with that exchange. Cause it was kind of a last minute thing. I was over here streaming and then I found out Max had Jeremy on and I ended up tuning in, watching it here through the stream. And I was just kind of getting angry listening to it.
I bet.
And then cause the coffee started to really kick in. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I can't watch this. Fuck that. I'm too angry. And then they're like, oh, you want to come on? And I'm all like, yeah, let me go to the bathroom first. And we'll get into this thing. Give me a few minutes to kind of calm down, collect my thoughts. And, it was fun. It was definitely exhausting, but it was fun. And I would like, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I will, if they ever wanted me to, they never will. But if they ever wanted me to, I would go right into Friday Night Tights and I'd be all like, bring it on. Let's have this out. I wouldn't get a word in edgewise. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what I'd have to be very careful with what I said in order to land the blows that I need to. But that's the whole thing is for me, I have everything to gain. They have absolutely nothing to gain. So they won't do it. Jeremy, even being on there with Max, he went on there with Max because he just goes on lower. He only went on to that stream because that Chris guy who was there had been talking a lot of trash about him and he went on to confront him. And then from there, like everyone else just kind of piled on in. And I don't think Jeremy ever thought that he was in over his head. But I think when he kind of got backed into a bit of a corner with me coming on, he was like, okay, well, we're just going to end up doing this. But there was a part in that exchange, I don't know if you heard that, where he actually goes, he's like, well, this is why I'm smarter than you. And I just kind of laughed and went, no, you're not.
Yeah, I don't know that that's accurate.
He's an intelligent guy. I'll grant him that. This is the whole thing with this thing. This is how I approach these people, right? The biggest problem I had and what he was able to kind of get me on was I called Odin's movie blog a dipshit. The guy's a dipshit. He's a transphobe. I'm pretty sure he's pretty bigoted, super prejudiced, Catholic school teacher. So I already am putting him on the yikes list. And because I'm, how many times do we hear about, males in the Catholic religion and bad things coming out of that? It's not taboo to make that comment because it's not something that never happens. So, not saying he's done anything, just saying.
I just say I would not want to be associated with an organization with a reputation like that. Personally.
Yes. The Catholic faith is very bad.
Even if I was Catholic, like if I just for some reason was like, diehard Catholic, I would just keep it to myself. I wouldn't I'm part of that church. No thanks.
Yeah. Hold on here. Al Simmons Hellspawn says, Jeremy owns you, Matt. You can't beat him in Geeks and Gamers. I didn't really need to beat him. I asked him questions and he dodged them like inefficiently.
Right.
It was funny. It was really funny. Because he didn't want to answer. Yudu Sucker says Jeremy destroyed them before you went on. I don't know. I didn't watch any of that stuff. Yeah, let's see here. Elmo says he dodged questions like Neo H parts.
I mean, if Jeremy was destroying them before you went on, that's just because they weren't there to actually challenge the bullshit, and you were a man on a fucking mission. It was clear.
I was very, yeah. Like, I guess what happened was at one point my mic the intensity of my mic shot up, the gain shot up. And I somehow StreamYard upped my gain to 100 to 120. Like, it auto upped my gain, and I didn't even realize that. Like, StreamYard will F with my mic settings every once in a while, so I got to be very careful with that. But like I was telling Dane, I'm all like, I woke up my girlfriend like 2-3 times. She started just like texting me like, will you shut the fuck up? Like, she's like, if you wake up the kids. And then I had my 2-year-old get sick. So I was like, all right, maybe my family is trying to step in and go, maybe you should calm this one down a little bit.
Your fucking psychic energy just, it kind of made your kid upset, I think. Man.
Oh yeah, I was so down for the count the next day. I was all like groggy and just like, like,
yeah. I don't know if you were hearing, like, Little Movie Perp was saying that, like, you and some in the chat, they were like, at one point your voice, you became basically like Batman. You were just, your voice was so full of fucking intensity that you were like, I'm Jarbo. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah, let's see here. Hold on. Al Simmons here says Jeremy already called you on a live stream that is here on YouTube, and he flew away when he came in. Oh, you mean the one that I was mobile on? That I already had said that I couldn't stay on for very long before Max was going to bring Jeremy in. Yeah.
Hey, what is context? What is context?
Yeah, what's context exactly? Why did Jeremy delete his last Jedi video?
Yeah, I got that right here. You want to watch it?
I've seen it. They've already seen it. I'm pretty sure. Okay. I'm just saying it's mostly like, look, a lot of this stuff is bullshit. A lot of this stuff on here that you see from a lot of these people is all bullshit. I've been in that camp before. I've been open about this. Like, when I was doing like the mundane Matt stuff, and I would wake up and I'm like, okay, what's happening in academia today from the left that I can get mad about, and because I would specifically look for articles that frame things in a way that would make me mad. So then I could convey that energy to the audience, which is very draining, by the way. And that was kind of the whole point, was like, you would find you actively look for things. There's I forget the terminology for it. Like, I think it's called like the Raz or something like that. Like the, I forget what it's called, but if you start actively looking for that kind of content, and with that kind of energy, you're gonna kind of expect, you're gonna put it out there. And that's a lot of what happened back then. And it was just like, I'll tell you, there's an exact moment that I could go back to. I wish I could go back to and force myself to stick with it. I don't know what would have happened, but it was in April of 2017. This was right when the adpocalypse had kicked off. And it was, I had made the choice to drop all the anti-SJW content on that channel and focus just on movie content. And a lot of people just got mad at me for it, because God forbid there's like the slightest change on a channel, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the thing with that is like, I should have just stuck with it, but I had just bought the house. We had literally just moved in like a week earlier. And my girlfriend was like, oh, by the way, I'm preggers. And then she was leaving her $70,000 a year job. And I was all like, oh shit, I still got to pay the bills. And so I understand that trapping that happens. I'm very thankful now that like Uber Eats is a thing. I can do that on the side. I can come here, and then talk to everybody and then earn a little bit of money to kind of supplement all that. So I'm very thankful that I'm in that position. Don't get me wrong. Like, with like the Friday Night Tights guys, they get like 8,000 people watching. Oh, hell yeah. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. But it's not something that I need to validate my existence.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like one that really firmly believes like in the concept of a soul, so to speak. But I feel like if I did lean into that kind of thing and was really successful at it, that would essentially be like just trading my soul, or my soul would just decay over time. That's the best way I feel like I could describe it.
And there's like, the thing is though, because if there's ever any like legitimate grievance that you might have, you can never, and if anyone really has, like, here's the thing, if the Quartering or like Nerdrotic or let's say Ethan Van Sciver or Jeremy ever have a legitimate grievance with something, I never know if they're telling the truth or not.
Right.
I never know if I should care, because because every other time they cry wolf over it. Like, are you really mad about this? Well, no, I was just playing it up for clicks. Okay. Well, so then what are you really mad about? Oh, this really bothered me. But I mean, This did not, and that the other thing too that I wanted to touch on with him, and I was alluding to it in our debate, is how the algorithm does spread information, because it does lump you into clusters with other channels
Mhm.
you associate with. And if you end up watching enough of one person's content, they will assume you are interested in the cluster as well. So they'll
Right.
start recommending it to you. And more people view the recommendations rather than their subscriptions. There's a lot of people out there that think that they've been unsubbed from someone's channel because they just stopped seeing the content when they're looking at it from either their like mobile device or whatever. If you don't engage with the content frequently, then they'll just stop showing it to you.
Right.
But if you engage with somebody, it's like, like my girlfriend's into like, she watches like narcissism videos, because that's like, she's learning about it.
I watched
Right.
a lot. Dr.
Like the
Ramani.
Romani. Yeah. 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 A lot. Oh my God. My whole timeline just like full of that.
Love Dr. Ramani, man. She's great.
She's great. She's really good. But there's a lot of that content that then gets served to my TV. But even though that's tied into like my other account, my session on my phone, my session on this PC, my session on my PlayStation in the bedroom, they're all different. You know what I mean? And so that's the way the system operates. But it does recommend you. Like if I watch a bunch of like the Young Turks, it's going to recommend me a bunch of other shit like I may or may not want. And also, why am I watching the Young Turks? I don't know. But it does recommend you these things after a time. So there is a pipeline that happens there. So this is my fear. My fear is, the park hopping, which is like the general audience, pro family, pro Disney content, is then going to be a pipeline to D-Day Cobra. And the one question I didn't ask Jeremy that I should have asked him, but I totally spaced on it was, when I asked him like, oh, do you believe what you say? I should have followed that up with, hey, do you believe that the election was stolen? Because he does believe that the election was stolen, and he was covering that excessively on that D-Day Cobra channel until Dominion dropped its $1 billion lawsuit. And then all of a sudden, from my understanding, that just dried up.
Well, and then because basically YouTube and other platforms were like, oh, we have to actually crack down on this type of shit because we're going to end up getting roped in with this. So it just basically became a no-no. Yeah, I was thinking that. Well, you listened to the whole thing, so but I mean, I was kind of screaming at it at the video when I was watching it the first time last week, and how this deceptive thing where they just try to pretend like their politics are just, hey, look, just harmless politics, just on the other side of it's like your politics are not harmless. This deception is not harmless. These narratives have real effects on real people, and in a negative sense, you may think that you're a victim because somebody's saying, "Hey, can you mind using these pronouns for me or something?" But like, you're not a victim. But it does create victims whenever you're, just constantly pushing these fucking bigoted narratives and otherizing anybody that's not essentially a straight white dude, and making them feel unwelcome in fandom, and then also just incentivizing your fucking audience, who's already probably toxic if they're inclined to watch a bunch of your content, and they're going to be toxic and hostile towards those people as well. So it's like there's a real fucking ripple effect to your, not you, I mean, but him, but like a specific brand of politics that is not equal, just it's not the equal inverse of being progressive, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, if they, here's the thing, I would be more inclined to, I guess you could say, treat them with like any kind of respect if I actually believed that they believed what they were saying. You know what I mean? Like, I here's the thing, I don't really care. Like, I care about bad opinions, but if you have a shitty opinion, I would hope you would have something to back it up with. Like give me something that we can actually like debate on. And a lot of times it's just like nuh-uh and ma feels is what a lot of it boils down to. And even it's funny about that today, because we can kind of dive in, I think, to maybe the first little topic. Before, we kind of jumped right into it there, so that's pretty cool. So we got 91 people right now. Thank you guys very much. Real quick, just because I got to plug it, if you want to follow me on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, because I'm a baller on the TikToks. But I do like the platform quite a bit, actually. You guys can find me over there. Or if you want to support the channel, patreon.com/Matt Jarbo, great way to do it, because fuck YouTube and that 30% shit. But there we go on that one. And then also Podio commentary is coming back very soon. I totally got delayed today to work on it, but Check that out, youtube.com/Podio commentary. Looking forward to diving back into that. But here's the first thing I want to kind of touch upon today. Did you see the Batgirl?
I did. I saw that. Happened to see that go live while we were streaming, and it's fucking incredible.
I'm telling you, man. Like, you know, when I first heard that there was going to be a Batgirl movie and it wasn't going to have Ben Affleck in it, I was like, I wasn't vibing it. You know what I mean? I wasn't vibing it. I'm all like, man, no, I want the DCEU. That's the continuity that I want. Mm-hmm. And then I end up, like they cast Leslie Grace. And I've been saying this for a while, that if you look at Sasha Calle and you look at Leslie Grace, you can see, and like Blue Beetle is going to be Zolo. I can never pronounce his last name, and I hate to butcher it.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that they're casting a lot of Hispanic actors, because in, like, you know, South America, especially Brazil, massive DC fan base.
Shit is huge internationally. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is what they're aiming for. This is the market they're going for here. And it's also a very diverse cast in this particular case. You've got diverse directors. The only downside to so far that I've seen with Batgirl is that Christina Hodson wrote the script. Sorry, I've brought this up multiple times. Bumblebee was not good. The script was pretty bad. Birds of Prey. Nah, I didn't care for the story that much, you know, and she's doing The Flash and she's doing this movie. So, I mean, they've actually given Christina Hodson more creative control on that front than they ever gave Zack Snyder. Because Zack he wrote some of the stories, he helped contribute, but he only directed the movies. Whereas here, they're allowing her to architect stuff.
Well, I think the reason, this is speculation, of course, as you should always look for your content creators to say if that's what they're doing. But I think that it's just because of the iconic status of the main Justice League characters. You know what I mean? Like they Warner Brothers is very, very fucking particular about what's done with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman specifically. And so, yeah, they let Zack Snyder do his own take with it, but they were also probably very hands-on and, like, you know, peeking over his shoulder the whole fucking time.
Most likely.
Whereas with this, it's like these characters aren't as, you know, they're very well known, sure, and they're definitely fan favorites for some, but if taking them to the mainstream audience and, like, trying to make them, you know, all household names, I think there's probably a little bit more room for interpretation in their minds. I'm not saying whether that's going to be good or bad necessarily, but that's what I imagine how Warner Brothers is seeing it.
Most likely. I think they're also trying to approach it from a more modest budget perspective. True. Because one of the biggest problems that I think a lot of people, especially in like the Snyder fandom, don't realize is, like, if you look at the budgets for the 3 films that he did, they kept ballooning. And going forward, they were only going to get more expensive. I mean, just look at what they spent on Justice League alone. It's been estimated that with the reshoots and also the Snyder Cut, they spent some in the marketing for both. They probably spent somewhere in the neighborhood of about $400 million for that project. And did the movie turn $400 million in profit? I'm gonna say probably not. I'm going to say it's probably a bit of a loss leader on that front, because because the Snyder Cut itself was designed and greenlit to push HBO Max subscriptions, because that's the whole thing, is they knew that would be a big draw.
Sorry, I get distracted by your chat sometimes, and somebody asked a minute ago, what's the difference between Batgirl and Batwoman? And then this one guy responded, one is LGBT and the other isn't. It's like, that's not the diff. I mean, that is a difference, but it's weird that it's just weird that the same people that are probably complain about these things are the first ones to single that out as their sole defining characteristic. You know, we talked about that with when we were covering the you and the Jeremy conversation about Shang-Chi and stuff. It's like,
that's a weird thing, because like no one's ever, I mean, when they cast like Ruby Rose as Batwoman, they had said, we want to find someone who is of LGBT, in the community, that would be able to fit the role. And because the character is LGBT, and like, all right, like that makes sense. That's not woke. That's keeping in line with the character. And then when she exited the show and they were like, okay, well, we're going to go and cast somebody else. And then I think the rumor at the time was it was going to be a woman of color. And they said also going to be part of the LGBT community. Now, Ruby Rose is lesbian, and I can never remember the new Batwoman's name, but I believe she's bisexual. So like that's how they made it work.
Mhm.
And it's such a weird defining fact. Because you're not even supposed to ask that fucking question on a resume. Like you can't go to a job interview and they'll be like, so you suck cock? Like,
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know that it's the same as like they probably put out a casting call.
They probably put out, but still, like that's kind of the weird thing, right? Like I'm very curious to know about the casting process because it doesn't matter. Well, here's the thing: Hollywood, and this is what people need to remember: Hollywood is the only industry where you can legally discriminate.
True,
and I say that only because they have certain ideas in mind for the characters that they put out there. I remember when Michael Clark Duncan was cast as Kingpin for 2003's Daredevil. I was like, oh, hell yeah. I love Michael Clark Duncan. Fuck yeah, bring it on. He's like the right build and shit. Sure, he's black, but like that didn't mean anything to me because I love Michael Clark Duncan. May he rest in peace. But there were people that were like super pissed off that it was Michael Clark Duncan because they really wanted like a big burly white dude. And I get that. And then we got, Vincent D'Onofrio is a more subdued version of that role, but he plays it masterfully.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are happy that he's back. And then in Hawkeye, he's more or less like, a tank, like literally a tank.
Take some
damage, So it's one of those things where it's just the casting is, as long as it, I think fits the general like idea of the character, like I remember when, Fantastic Four, Fanforstic was being announced and they're like Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm. Again, a lot of people were like pissed off. And my response was, yo, any of you guys watch Chronicle? Like, fucked. He's amazing in Chronicle. And it's basically the same character.
Yeah. It's like the same people that are like identity politics are bad. And it's like, and yet you're only basing it on the skin color of this guy where when you look at the personality of, like you said, in Chronicle, his character essentially is a perfect Johnny Storm. More or less, Johnny Storm, he's cocky. He's a little bit arrogant, but he's also kind of, he's got a good heart. And that's what, say what you want. I mean, I'll say a lot of bad things about Fanforstic. I never even actually finished it, but
it's bad.
Yeah.
I watched it when it came out on home video. I didn't see it in theaters because nothing about it spoke to me. And the fact that like the director had denounced the movie on social media like the day that it came out, and I'm like, I'm not going to give any money to this shit. I watched it at home and no, dude. Like there was cool elements with the movie, a couple cool little things here and there, but no.
Yeah,
some of his parts are terrible.
I'm just saying that, like, remove skin color from it, and he's a great Johnny Storm. I mean, skin color doesn't actually matter, and it's just kind of hypocritical and funny that it's often the same people that like identity politics bad, but that's what you're focusing on, man. So yeah.
Well, and again, that's why I asked Jeremy. I'm like, are you a culture warrior? Would you identify as a culture warrior? And I mean, he is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But he doesn't want to admit it because then that means that he's basically, that all the criticism against him is practically correct. It's just like, no, you're just in this to fight a culture war. Your friends fight a culture war. You fight a culture war. That's the kind of bullshit you're into.
Yeah.
Anthony does ask, do you think that the Batgirl will get a new suit at the end of the movie? I do. Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty updated. Right. But I like the look of it. I think the look is solid here. I think it's, people are upset. They go, oh, it looks like a CW show. It's like, she doesn't have any powers. She doesn't have the backing of a billionaire. She doesn't have any of those things. She's going to put on biker leathers, and she's going to go out there with a cowl and a cape and beat the crap out of people.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man. Well, and we didn't really get to see it in that phase because when we met him in Civil War, he was already getting a new costume. But like, he had that homemade fucking shitty pajama costume, and I think that's a good way for especially like a teenage hero that doesn't have any resources and shit to get started. I think that
I mean, motorcycle leathers are actually like, they're pretty durable. They're designed. This is the whole thing. They're designed to be durable. Like they can, she's like, they're designed to like be able to protect the body if you fall, at least from like, scrapes and stuff. And it's designed to be like that. So I think it looks great. I love the shadow on the chimney right there on the column. I think it's going to be cool. The more I look at this movie, the more it intrigues me. And then the more there's a backlash to this movie, the more it intrigues me. And because there are people out there who are trying to, heard this tonight from RJ, that there are people out there that are trying to cancel Leslie Grace, because apparently at one point she had like said the N-word. And I don't know the context, but like it's kind of like, you know who Gina Rodriguez is? The actress from like I think like Mary the Virgin or Jane the Virgin, whatever. Yeah. She did like an Instagram video where she was rapping along with the song and she said the N-word and people like lost their shit at it. You know, and like that was a flash in the pan controversy. But it's like people will always find anything. I don't know what her response to it is. RJ told me. And I'm gonna have to. Apparently it's from 2011. So, I mean, look, I know a thing or two about saying the N-word from like a decade ago. Not a good idea. You know what I mean?
You know what? I know a thing or two about it too. I grew up in the deep South. You know, I was just reminding somebody, or I didn't remind. I saw somebody talking about the Ding Dong Ditch. You know that game, the kids, teenage thing.
Yeah.
Well, in the deep South, it has a different name, and it's inward knocking.
I've never heard that.
Well, you're lucky, but
I grew up in the suburbs of Portland, so we were just really homophobic.
I tweeted, I said, somebody said something about Ding Dong Ditch, and I retweeted and was like, you don't want to know what it was called where I came from in the South. And a couple of people responded. They're like, oh God, you reminded me. That's what it was called where I'm from too. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah. Like, probably not the best idea.
And that was just like, you could say that in front of your parents and they just like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. And they weren't worried about the word. They're worried about you doing that to the neighbors or whatever. So that's just the culture in some places. So yeah, I know all about.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that culture out there. And, I think a lot of people take it a little differently. I saw, Frost finally take over here. By the way, God, with fighting with the Peacemaker helmet on. By the way, Peacemaker is like the best show of the year so far.
It's so great.
Whereas Book of Boba Fett might be kind of letting some people down on this third episode. Not bad, but it's a little iffy. All 3 episodes of Peacemaker are fantastic. But anyway, it's just but asking when Polly returned. No, that's never coming back. But I get asked that question like daily. I seriously get that question all the time. Like, when are you going to get more Polly the polar bear? That was you at your most based. I'm like, why do you want me to take a puppet and make it say very horrible things that weren't even funny? You know
why? Because, I this is just my opinion maybe, but like, I feel like some people would rather, like, it's easier for them to try to get you to regress than it is to kind of accept that maybe they need to grow. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh no, you go back to being a piece of shit because that validates me being a piece of shit, and I don't want to not be a piece of shit. So yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, like, look, we're all pieces of shit to some extent or another. I think that's kind of how this goes. Well, and by the way, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure that some people say it ironically. Like, I've made fun of you about it. So like, yeah, I'm sure some people are just joking.
Oh yeah, no, oh dude, 100%. No, there are people that are just like. That are like legitimately like, oh no, oh yeah, that was great. That was you at your funniest. I'm all like, me at my funniest. Please. I've been funnier before or after, but it's just like back then was a totally different time. And it was just like really raunchy, stupid comedy. And it's not even funny, to be fair, and it's like one of those things where I don't hide from it because I'm not going to like let people like lord it over my head in a way that's going to like diminish me from like growing as a person, So like, fuck it. It's like, yeah, like I say, as I will laugh at it mostly. And I encourage others to laugh at it because I don't take it personally. I don't take those moments of like, oh, you said this. Yeah, well, it was stupid. Feel free to make fun of me for it. Like, I completely am there with you. Otherwise, it's just kind of the whole point. Although, let's see. Nicotina here says Jarbo is immune to shit talking. Actually, it's so funny here because one of his friends, this guy named Anthony, had made a comment once saying that I am unbullyable. And I mean, like, it's not that I'm unbullyable. I just totally don't give a shit anymore. Like, that's the difference. It's just like, I like fighting. I like arguing my point, but I'm also not going to sit there and be too freaking worried about like ticking people off anymore. It's like, because it's, if I say something, I'd like to think I have a point. And if I miss my point, then tell me, and then I can restructure my point to try to make it more palatable. You know what I mean? because I would rather have an insightful discussion rather than just, whatever. But, I mean, but I still like to say dirty things.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm bully proof. I mean, like I'm more inclined to hit back is my impulse, but like I don't get my feelings hurt. You don't do forced adversity if for over 2 years now if you're easily offended by people insulting you.
Yeah, but again, it's also like it's kind of like I think your content. You did that Superman video. I know it's kind of a re-upload, but like I thought that was a really well made video. I enjoyed that kind of content as well. I kind of enjoy that kind of content more than a lot of the commentary stuff because I feel like that's where I think you get someone to really kind of sit down and like hone their thoughts, hone their feelings, and put it together. The downside to that though is like the way that YouTube kind of I want to, and I'm using the term again unironically, but they groom us to constantly be putting out content. And if you don't constantly put out content, then you find yourself in a place where it's like, you're not getting recommended as much. And that is where it's so funny because when the way that you talk to like the Fandom Menace and the way that they kind of describe it all, it almost comes across like they're the victim, right? If you think about the way that they're explaining it, they kind of preface it by claiming that they're the victim because, oh, we have to do this. Oh, we have to be like this. Oh, we're just giving the algorithm what it wants. We're just, like we can't, if I talk about this, no one watches it, blah, 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 blah. And the thing is, they're not actually wrong, but they are aware of the content they create and the toxicity that it spews. So it's like, yeah, you can sit there and go, well, I'm kind of like stuck, but you still choose to be stuck.
True.
That's the difference. Like if, it's like how many of these guys have made $100,000 this year? They could easily like sit by for a little bit of time, focus on some different content, rebuild up their community, which is what I've been doing now for almost the last year. Is I've been doing the streams most nights and I've been trying to build up the community and build things up and have a good time with people because I feel that's going to be more of where I'm going to find the success I'm looking for versus then just be like, yo, this makes me mad.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, like, so I definitely enjoy the process. Like, I may have told you, making that Superman video, especially, it was just I was just so happy. Like, it was just a happy experience. My happiest experience ever making a video because pretty much since I started, it was like responding to dumb or bigoted takes and stuff like that. And with Superman video, it was like, I just want to explore the history of this character and his creators and so on, and what I find valuable about it and whatnot. And it was just such a peaceful fucking creative process. But the thing is, like you said, yeah, you have to constantly put out content, which as highly edited as that video is, it takes some time. And on top of that, another disincentive for that is that it's not conflict driven content. So, and that's one of the benefits that I have. I'll admit, like I kind of benefit a bit from the model that the anti-SJWs use because I'm just reversing it on them basically. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking shit on them and exposing them for their bullshit, but that creates conflict and people click on conflict more than anything. I could work for 2 weeks on a video like Superman and put a whole bunch of love and passion into it. And it's literally I'm most proud of that video out of any video I've made, but it hasn't quite cracked 1,000 views. Whereas like if I cover some Chud stuff, that's going to crack 1,000 in less than a day in a lot of cases. So
yeah, well, and I get you. That's why the Podio commentary stuff I like. The only downside to it is it's very difficult to like, again, finding the time to sit down to research, to write up all this stuff and then to post it as a podcast. Cause I don't do any of the edit. I have a friend who I could probably go to do the editing, but it's like, I'm lazy and I don't want to do that. But it's like all about, the process of it. I will say this though. I did not know the history of Superman in the way that you described it, with him being more of like a working man's hero. Yeah. Back when he first launched. And I'm telling you right now, and that's maybe why I find Superman in his current incarnation to be relatively boring. I want to go see, I want fucking Superman to go beat up slumlords, like I want to see like, I'll tell you this, here's a fucking pitch for a goddamn story. How about this, right? Here's a fucking pitch. Okay, we combine William Randolph Hearst runs the fucking Daily Planet. Okay, this is my pitch. Okay, William Randolph Hearst runs the Daily Planet, sends Clark Kent to South America to invent a war, because that actually happened, by the way. Where William Randolph Hearst did in fact wrote the movie fucking Citizen Kane is based on William Randolph Hearst. Like if you can't find a war, invent one, I believe is the quote. He's a shitty motherfucker, dude. He's a shitty fucking mother.
He was a piece of shit.
A piece of shit. But what if he sends, like, in this case, it's not Perry White, it's William Randolph Hearst, and he sends fucking Clark Kent down to South America, and it's like, if you can't find a war, invent a war. And he goes down there, and like now he's up against fucking cartel and shit, actual human rights violations, fucking human trafficking, fucking drug, all that shit, And then he's like, all right, well, now I got to actually do the investigation while I'm here, and then go beat the shit out of the fucking cartel. That would be dope, man. That's the kind of shit, because you kind of depower him a little bit, and then you let him like focus on his reporting skills, and then he's got to go and take him out. Like, that's cool. Like, I mean, having him actually like have something like at stake, I think would be pretty good. If he's faster than a speeding bullet, and he can leap tall buildings in a single bound, and he's bulletproof, there's really not much that's going to stop him. You know what I mean? Like, if someone shot a gun at somebody and he is faster than that bullet, then he's going to stop the bullet. It's like, where's the conflict?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why, like, they do have to, now that John Kent is also Superman, and what they've seemed to be doing is like, Clark Kent Superman, he's overpowered, but he does work well when you can put him in like intergalactic situations where there's other super duper powerful beings with weapons that can actually, for some reason or another, harm him or slow him down. And that stuff is possible. A good writer can do that, but doing it on Earth and where you're like constantly having a threat to Superman is difficult. But like, John Kent isn't quite as powerful as Clark, and he's more of the working class guy.
Okay.
And I said in the end of that video, that was only when like episode 2, or issue 2 was out, I think. That I feel like he's going to be more of what the original Superman was at the beginning, and he has gone that way. So like, there's one cover that kind of got mocked by chuds was John Kent is like protesting climate change with a bunch of kids or something like that, and then he's dealing with more on the ground stuff and more people situations so you kind of get the best of both worlds. Have your cake and eat it too, where you got Superman, he's out doing super epic, fucking blowing up planets action and stuff like that. And then you've got John Kent, who's doing the more ground level to a certain extent.
See, I just prefer that. I just prefer because to me, if someone is like, that's okay. I will say that's what I like about Peacemaker, because the way that the character is, it's like the opening of the episode where he's like, oh, Peacemaker. Yeah. You're that racist motherfucker. I'm not racist. It's all like, you only killed you killed black people and people of color. Yeah, but like only because in correlation with the type of, like with the crime, like he pulls out that very racist trope about the crime statistics.
Right. Yeah. He's basically just doing the cop logic.
Yeah. And then the guy, he's like, well, stop it. Okay. I'll try to kill more white people. Thank you. Like that whole thing had me just busting up laughing. Cause you're right. Pulling out the cop logic, or the right wing chud logic, like the 3%ers or whomever, the alt-right. And then it's like taking that and he's like, okay, well, I won't do that. And then I'll just kill more white people.
Right.
Okay. Equality. But then when you get to see who his dad is and you get a bit of that, and it's like, oh, okay, now you can kind of see why things happen the way that they did. And I'm looking forward for that story to kind of unfold. There's a lot of, as you said, and I agree with you, there's a lot of sincerity in Peacemaker. There's a lot of, you can tell the beginning of character growth, and just the fact that John Cena did like a karaoke number while holding a magic wand, a woman's personal vibrator. Yeah. After in his tighty whities with those weird ass arm veins. Weird fucking arm veins. It was really funny. That's why I feel like the show has it's been super good. It's been super hit and everything else over the course of the just these couple episodes. And I'm looking forward to more. But all right, there is a couple things to get to tonight, a couple quick little pieces. I do want to start off though with something good news. Santa Claus series coming to Disney Plus with Tim Allen. Fuck yeah. I love the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies.
I remember the first two. I don't think I ever saw any past that, but yeah, I enjoyed the fuck out of them when I was a kid.
The third one is all about so the second one is like the Mrs. Claus, where he's got to get married, or else he loses his power because they still need him. I don't fucking get that, but whatever. And then the third one is Martin Short as Jack Frost, and he's like, I'm gonna steal Superman's shit, or sorry, I'm gonna steal Santa Claus's shit, right? And then Jack Frost ends up like tricking Santa Claus into giving away his powers, and then he has to go and get him back.
Maybe I did see that one. Yeah, I just kind of forgot it, I guess.
So it's it's pretty funny. How like I like the movies. The first one I like quite a bit. We've watched the three of them since they've come on Disney Plus, and my kids like them too. So we watch a lot of this stuff. But I've grown up, been a fan. And what's really interesting about this is that apparently it's coming from the show. Jack Burdett, who created the Allen-led comedy series Last Man Standing, will serve as executive producer and showrunner on the Santa Claus series. Allen will executive produce in addition to starring. And the thing is, I don't know if you ever saw Last Man Standing.
No.
Okay, so the show is think Home Improvement, but instead of 3 sons, it's 3 daughters.
It's pretty conservative bent on that show, right?
And here's the thing with that. There is a conservative bent. He's conservative, but his daughters are super liberal, and they challenge him constantly. And over the course of the show, he does become more like, a lot more soft-hearted and everything else, So they make fun of conservatives constantly on that show. And he like I'll tell you this, man, like I really, really love Last Man Standing. I think the cast is great. The core cast is great. I like a lot of the jokes. I think they're pretty funny. Like Robert Forster showed up in the show as his brother, who ended up becoming like a weed dealer, like bought a weed store when they legalized it.
Nice.
And like there was a bit of contention on that. And like Jay Leno popped up a little bit. They make fun of Jay Leno, but like also a lot of people from Home Improvement popped in. Al Borland came in. You had Patricia, I forget her name, whatever the wife was from Home Improvement. She popped up in a couple episodes. Jonathan Taylor Thomas popped up in a couple episodes. And they make references back to like Home Improvement all the time. So it's actually pretty solid. It's a pretty funny show. My
question, does it have a laugh track? Because I can't.
I think it has a laugh track. Yeah, I know I'm not a fan of him either, but it became kind of like comfort food for me, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I just enjoyed watching the show. And then it was really funny because it was canceled after season 6 because it was on Friday nights on ABC, but it did well at the Friday night slot. And the reason why it got canceled was not because the show was doing bad, was because the contract that they had, it was produced through Fox Television and then licensed to ABC. Well, after season 6, the contract was ABC was to take over the full production of the show, take on the full budget. And then ABC was trying to get out of their 3-camera sitcom shows. They were trying to shut all those shows down. So they canceled it. The show ended up getting revived for, I think, 2 or 3 more seasons over on Fox. And then it ended recently, but it lived through the acquisition of Disney of Fox. Wow. So it ended up at the end of the day going right back to the company. But I like it. I've always enjoyed these shows, and I really am happy to see that it's coming back. So hold on here. I see Caden says, I hope Bernard is in this. Yes. Fucking yes. Where the fuck? Yeah. Bring back Spencer Breslin too, because he retired from acting. I'm very excited for this because I love Tuscan Jawa here says, yeah, Last Man Standing was funny, felt like Home Improvement. It did. So those are definitely like some stuff we're checking out. And McLeod is kind of right here. Well, Timmy sure loves to play the typical old man yells at cloud conservative IRL. I mean, he's not entirely wrong. There is a bit of that in this, but it's kind of done in a way that's cheeky. And even Tim Allen, it's very self-aware. Even Tim Allen has said everyone else who works on that show is super liberal.
Well, I maybe I'm wrong. I could swear I remember years ago him kind of like complaining publicly that that conservatives can't get hired in Hollywood anymore or something like that.
He did make a comment about that at some point. He did say that there was a time, where you would think that, right? But like, look, man, like you go back to like, what was it, 2013 and somewhere in there, and like Adam Baldwin penned this like anti-gay marriage op-ed somewhere.
Yeah.
And like I met Adam Baldwin when the Gamergate thing happened, and him and he hit me up once, and he's like, this was in December 2014, and he's like, I'm gonna be in San Diego shooting for the week. Do you want to go get drunk?
Wow.
And I'm like, all right, cool. And I went down to Gaslamp in San Diego, and I met up with Adam Baldwin at a bar. We just chugged back beers for a couple hours. Really, really nice guy. I find a lot of his political views to be repugnant, but like you can you can have a beer with the guy and hang out. And that's kind of the problem is like, like how do you, with someone's political views that they're outspoken over are kind of like, but you're like, I like hanging out with this person. It's a conflicting thing. But he was telling me that because of, his involvement with Gamergate and some of his other views, he's had projects that he was in production on that he was funding fall apart that cost him thousands upon thousands of dollars. So it's like conservatives, like I'll say this from my understanding of Hollywood, for the most part, no one in Hollywood gives a shit. Like they don't, because they're all trying to work, the people on social media, like the ones that are really over the top, they're generally writers. The ones that like, the as they would be called from like the fandom menace, naming like the blue check marks, right?
Right.
And I think you mentioned it earlier when you were looking over the debate where, it's like Shang-Chi. It's like, yeah, there was, Simu Liu was never out there going like, like I'm Asian, bitch.
Yeah.
Like never doing that. No one was ever doing that.
We're taking over the superheroes from the white men. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. It's all like yellow fever, motherfucker. Like that shit never happened. I mean, like it just never happened. And, but you're right though. The media, right? The websites, they take it, they put a splashy headline on it. They run with it. And that's where a lot of the argument comes from. That's where a lot of, a lot of the contention, I believe, comes from is the way that the media frames it, very much the enthusiast media and those that are coming at it from a very particular political bent. Look at Bounding into Comics, for example. They did that shit all the fucking time. Yeah. But if you go and you look at that video tonight from Dipshit Kennel, you were looking at, what website was he reading from? Bounding into Comics.
Oh yeah,
Jeremy Geeks and Gamers bounding into comics all the time.
Yeah, that's like a whole human centipede of chud content, as I've called it before. Like where they just, they bounding into comics, and there's a couple others. We got this covered sometimes, not quite as bad, but yeah, they're all. That's what the chuds use to essentially justify themselves, and then it's disingenuous, man. It's a whole astroturfed thing. I shared right there. I don't know if you talked about this last night or what, but the PG-13 rating for.
I actually did not bring up the PG-13 rating of it. I know people were upset about that, and I'm like, look, the movie, like, what's it going to not have, like one fuck or something like that? Like,
here's what it's not going to have. Here's why I'm disappointed. Okay, because it's not going to have the bat wing.
Oh right, the bat dick.
Yeah.
I talked about the bat dick when that came out. I was like, people were really upset about the bat dick. Super pissed off about the fucking outlines. I mean, you're gonna get this fucking thing shut down, I swear to God.
Hey, my stream, I did it on my stream. It's fine.
Yeah, but I have a lot more people watching.
Okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Look, here's the thing, man. I'm not afraid of a fucking flaccid dick. Although, to be fair, that didn't look super flaccid. All right. It didn't look floppy enough.
Yeah. It looks like he might have a half chub, or maybe he just woke up and he's got to pee or something like that.
Something like that. Well, no, he's just getting home from crime fighting and he's coming out. It could be that when he was getting out of the bat suit, that it just rubbed the right way. You know how it is.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Dudes know this shit, right? Dudes know about fucking wieners and how they operate. Like they do what they want to do. They got a mind of their own. And you never know. Like you're like, oh man, no, I got school pictures right now. What you doing? No, down boy, that kind of crap. But it was really funny that like the whole what was it, DC Black Label, right? Like that was the first one.
Clearly labeled as for adults, not for kids,
and it sold out.
Well, I'll tell you what. I actually, me and my friend bought several copies of it because we kind of suspected, where we saw it. Basically, the news came out that, oh no, this is causing a backlash, and me and my friend were like, let's go buy several copies, and we were wise to, because pretty immediately Those sold out, and then all second printings and third printings it was removed, and then like the digital copies, it was all removed. Even if you'd already paid for it, the original version, your digital copy was essentially changed, unless you'd already downloaded or whatever. But so yeah, it was a whole thing, pun intended. But and what we ended up doing, I think we made probably $1,200 selling those. We got a few of them CGC graded. Put them, slabbed them as they call it, and then I think we made probably $400 or $500 for a few of them, and then
wow,
it's pretty crazy how certain things like that will pop up, pun intended again, and then you can just make a little cash off of it because fucking basically moral panic over certain people. They're like, oh no, it's Batman's penis.
Let me just say this. Here's the thing with that, right? Is how often do these guys look at dick in porn, right? How often do these guys watch a porno and they're like, there's a dick, and they're not worried about that dick at all. They're not worried about seeing that dick because they're able to like put themselves in the perspective of the person whose dick it is, right? That's the whole point. It's like you're self-inserting into this erotic scene in order to get yourself off. You know what I mean? Like, yep. That's kind of the whole point. So when you're doing that, but this was a problem, even though the entire concept of Batman is a self-insert. You want to be the world's greatest detective. You want to be a billionaire playboy. You want to have all these gadgets and beat the fuck out of people without a care in the world. But God forbid, there's a dick. You know what it is? It's probably like people would look at that and went like, mine doesn't look like that because that's fucking animated. Penises come in all shapes and sizes, folks. I think we know that, like some are long, some are small, some are thin, some are fat, some are cut, some are not. But you know what though? A penis is a penis. I don't know where the fuck I'm going with that one. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. Like,
it shouldn't bother anyone. Like, because if it's adults that are buying it and it's not kids, then who's it harming? You either have a dick or I guess maybe lesbians would be like the only ones who like have zero interest or experience maybe with seeing a dick. But like for the most part, the vast majority of people have experience with dick.
Well, they also probably don't care because it wasn't presented in a sexual way. If it was rocking like it was like a 90-degree angle and you're like, oh, that thing's aroused, that's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, it was like dripping or something like that.
Yeah. It's not doing anything like that. So it's just not, it's just not an issue. But I remember when that article, when that comic came out, a lot of people were like really freaking out about it. I was just laughing. I read the comic. It was a good comic. I'm like, like, oh wow, bat penis. Who cares? I mean, like you go and watch BVS and you see Ben Affleck's ass. And I've seen a bunch of people in chat tonight say like Ben Affleck's your favorite Batman. So if you were upset at seeing Batwang in, or Bruce Wang really in that comic, but you're totally fine with looking at Ben Affleck's behind at the top of his physical peak in BVS, then maybe, you should ask yourself like, what's up?
Yeah. Maybe you got to do some introspection there.
Some interest. Tony here says wiener talk on Hwad. Again, we talk about everything. You never know what you're going to get. That's why I love it. But I did see that there was a couple quick super chats to get to. Gaeliot here for $5. Thank you, buddy. Says, sorry for trolling you earlier today. He was in my DMs like, do you want to know who like the cameo is in Doctor Strange 2? Like, no. Like, well, I'll tell you this. No, I don't want to hear it. You were super close to getting blocked, man. I'm not even kidding you. But thank you for the mea culpa. And then Command Unit here for 5. It's 15 shekels. Thank you. Says, react to Exterminata Cinematic by Christopher Master of Arc. All right. Oh, and there's some news about the Eisenhorn show, which is a Warhammer 40K bit, that the writing part is done. Cool. We'll check that one out later on. If I have time, I'm going to try. I have to get to the store. Like, I have to leave to go to the store before 12. I have like an hour, and then I have to leave because I've got to get to the store tonight because I need to go get something for the morning that I forgot about. So unless I have to drive like 3 towns away to go to a 24-hour store, and fuck that shit. I'm not doing that. But all right. let's get into the other bit here. This is a thing because keeping on the topic before we get into the whole Geoff Johns stuff. Vincent D'Onofrio is claiming now. Is it, I mean, you know what I mean? Gomer Pyle's penis, right?
Yeah, true.
That'd be a thing. Says that Daredevil was canceled because of Disney Plus. Now that is not what I was expecting, to be honest with you.
Well, I feel like that's probably kind of oversimplistic. So like basically they didn't renew. I feel like Netflix didn't renew it because they knew that. I don't know. Well, let's see what he has to say.
Yeah. So he says here, all right. So it says, I don't think any of us were okay. I think that we were like, oh, okay, we had this hit show and now it's gone. At the same time, the group #Save Daredevil started to rise. We started to learn about the reasons why that happened. And so we understood what Marvel was doing because Disney Plus is coming out. When you're in this business a long time, like we have all been, it kind of made sense business-wise. What didn't make sense to us was why we couldn't continue that show or the idea of how that worked and how well it worked. Conceptually, I think we were disappointed, but I think we all understood what was going on, and it was sort of inevitable. In this business, you learn to accept things because it's a business in the end, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Now, I just want to highlight this last part right here, because I know we have a bunch of Snyder fans watching us tonight, and hey, listen, man, this is, I think, what this line right here is something that you just got to pay attention to.
Meditate on it, man.
Really. It's like, don't get me wrong. I was so fucking mad when Daredevil was canceled. I was so fucking mad because I love this show. I love the characters. I love the vibe of the show. Season 2 is the best season, in my opinion, just because of John Bernthal and having those conversations. I just love it all. Yep. I even like Finn Jones's Iron Fist, as I've been very open about on this stream in the past, and I'm like, that was the thing. Even I was talking with someone last night and they're all like, oh, there's something that's coming out of Doctor Strange 2. And it's a little cagey. And I'm like, cagey. And like, yeah, CAGE. And I'm like, no fucking way. Well, they were talking about Nick Cage's Ghost Rider, and I thought they were talking about Mike Coulter as Luke Cage. And I was like, fuck yeah, give me Luke Cage, baby. Because I loved Mike Coulter in the role, and I want to see more Luke Cage. So it's like, yeah, I love those shows. And so I get that it's a business decision. I think Netflix also chose to not renew things because ultimately, like, they wanted to go their own direction. And they were just paying, again, ABC Television was producing it. They probably knew Disney Plus was on the horizon, and they just opted to like walk away from all that before it got too complicated. Because that's probably the right call.
Yeah, they had to pay the license for those characters. It's why they've moved more towards a lot of original content and shit.
Well, there's that, and they spent all that money for Millar World back in 2017. That was the big thing. They bought that.
That turned out really well with Jupiter.
Well, they've also done Super Crooks, but I've heard no one talk about that. Like,
I forgot it exists.
Yeah, I saw that it's out. I'm like, oh, I haven't even finished watching F is for Family, the final season. I haven't even started it yet. That's a personal reason. That's mostly because I'm not ready to let that show go.
I'm not even ready to start that show.
So. Do you know about that show?
I know what it is. Yeah, it's like Bill Burr and right. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's great.
I don't know. I'm hesitant on Disney. Just speaking of Daredevil, like basically since Daredevil was canceled, I've been very, very hesitant to watch anything on Netflix. Not necessarily out of just like spite, but like because look what happened with Cowboy Bebop. I haven't watched it, but a friend who I trust their taste says it's fucking good, and it got canceled. And it's just they're basically doing what Fox was doing. In the late 90s, early through the 2000s, where it was like they'd get a fucking show that would get a really hardcore following, but maybe wasn't doing the numbers that they really wanted it to do. And instead of giving it a second season to pick up or something, they would just cancel the fucking thing. Like, famously Firefly.
Yeah.
And then there was like Sarah Connor Chronicles, Terminator Sarah. It was a good fucking show. And then like at the end of the season 2 on this big cliffhanger that was like the season 3 would have been awesome. I can imagine they canceled it. And it's like, I'm tired of getting burned like that. So I'm to the point where I wait until something has a few seasons under it. And it looks like it's probably going to, at least get to finish out a story. And then I'll watch it.
Well, see, the thing with that is though, and this is where I was hoping that Netflix would be the change of all of this. But it turns out they're still kind of bound by the same system that all the other networks do. And you're right. Like, again, that it's what it is there's like, it's that letdown, it's that lack of completion. And I've mentioned this before multiple times here on the channel, is that it's like, it's all about cortisol levels. When you lose something you care about, you feel physical pain and physical anguish. And it's like you actually experience loss. I think that there is, and this is going to sound so weird to say, but I think that when it comes to television and movie franchises and everything else, there's a lot of PTSD. And I mean that. I know people might laugh at me. Oh, whatever. No. But I'm serious. I think it's a lot of PTSD with this stuff, because imagine, like, again, Firefly, like how many people like rallied around to get Firefly to get a season 2, but we got a movie. It was a good movie. And now they want more. Sure. Great. Look at the show Jericho. Like, they were able to rally to get that thing made. Look at the Snyder Cut. They were able, there are moments where these things happen, but for the most part, those kind of fan campaigns don't actually succeed. But in those moments when those shows go away, we feel actual loss. And I think after time, it's not that we become numb to it. It's that we become almost apathetic to something new because we're afraid of getting hurt. How many times have you like had a friend come out of a bad relationship and you're like, hey, why don't you get out there and, try to go date again and just kind of whatever, and they're afraid of getting injured. They don't want to go through the pain again. I think there's a lot of that with television as well. I think that's why Netflix is like, that's why I think the binge model has worked as well as it did when it first came out. I feel that pendulum is now going back the other way. But when the binge model came out, it was like, oh my God, everything all at once. I don't have to wait. Oh my God. There was no longer that will it go week to week. I remember, and I'll give you guys, like, this is my prime example of this. So back in June of 2000, or maybe it was late May, but it was definitely June of 2000, ABC aired a show called Clerks, the Animated Series. And I'm a big Kevin Smith nut. I'm a huge Clerks fan. And I was desperate to watch that show. So the first episode came out. I think this was June 2000. First episode came out. Funny episode. The following week, I was flying from San Diego to Portland because I had moved down to San Diego during my senior year of high school, and I was flying back up to go watch my friends graduate. And the night I left to go on the flight was the second episode of Clerks, the Animated Series. So I asked my mom to record it for me. My mom forgot. In 2000, that was kind of a death sentence if you wanted to watch something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, that sucks, but you know what? They'll eventually play it on a repeat. I'll be able to watch it then. Okay, cool. At least there's another episode the following week. Nope. They canceled it.
They canceled it and buried it.
Absolutely buried it. Yeah. I mean, there's like, and it's such a great show. That it finally, when it came out on home video, like, I mean, I even got like one episode. I know I eventually saw the second episode because they also aired it out of order. Gee, I wonder why, but whatever. Back when Kaza was the thing, or Kazaa, whatever you want to call it, part of the LimeWire Bear Share network, I just randomly one night did a search for Clerks and I found both episodes on there. So I downloaded both and I watched them multiple times. And then as soon as the DVD came out, I picked it up and I bought it. But that's what I'm talking about, though, is like that show, man, when I finally got to watch all 6 of those episodes, I've seen them countless times. My best friend once asked me, he's like, if you were stuck on a deserted island and you could only take with you one of the 2 items, which would it be? The entirety of The Simpsons or Clerks, the animated series. And we actually had a debate about that. We're talking like at the time, it would have been like 20 seasons of The Simpsons versus 6 fucking episodes of Clerks. And we were 6 episodes. And we were legitimately debating. And I'm like, at the end, season 4 of The Simpsons won out. Because like,
yeah, it's prime Simpsons for
that's
sure.
Prime Simpsons. Seasons 1 through like 12, I think, are roughly like the best ones.
However, I would argue episode 4 of Clerks made me laugh harder than like maybe still any single animated episode of anything I've ever seen. Like the whole the Korean animation studio ending, the
oh my God, Bear's driving. How can that be?
Oh my God, how can that be? Yeah, fucking every little moment in that whole ending. I remember me and my friends just fucking had tears in our eyes, like stomach hurting from laughing so fucking hard.
Everybody, please stand for the Honorable Judge Reinhold.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom Cruise, show me the money. You can't handle the truth. Show me the money. Yeah. Everybody work. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
Like, Your Honor, I call to the stand George Lucas. I want my $8 back.
Yep.
No, it's really good. It's great TV. I also love the fact that Alec Baldwin was a voice on there as Leonardo, and just he's like, I'm Leonardo. I mean, just Leonardo. Or like one of us. I will say this though, the one thing that I was surprised made it on network television, and I'm totally gonna get canceled for saying that, but I think it's one of the weird. Like it's when Randall just goes, "That's retarded and queer."
Yeah. And
Like
queer.
it just, I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, but the other day, Kevin Smith was on Twitter making a comment about Clerks, something, and I just said, oh no, they were selling Clerks like signed posters right through the website, and I'm like, I just want one signed, sexy Randall the Pharaoh Wizard.
Oh God, yeah.
From my episode 5.
Yeah, with a pinball.
Yeah. Like they used to call me Sexy Randall the Pharaoh Wizard. No one called you that. Well, one person did. Go Sexy Randall the Pharaoh Wizard. Or no, my favorite gag is from the Ebola virus, or the Matoba. There's 2 gags with that. And I actually have a story about that too. So for one, I just love at the end of the episode when they talk to the monkey and they're like, what's wrong with the monkey? Nicotine fit. And then Silent Bob does it. What's wrong with him? Nicotine fit.
Yeah.
But the best gag out of that though was when they had Al Franken as Mayor McCheese. And they're like, because like they have first off, you have like Officer Big Mac giving a press conference about the Mataba virus, and then someone asks him like, why are you dressed like Officer Big Mac? It's like, I was on my way to a costume party when I got the call. And then later on, it cuts to Mayor McCheese, voiced by Al Franken, and they ask him the same question. He's like, I was going to a different costume party unrelated to the other costume party, and my zipper got stuck. Oh, okay. And then someone asks, could the Mataba virus stop the grimace? And then he just stops and goes, nothing can stop the grimace.
Yeah, we got some good quotes. You got Spherical Man. We don't have to talk about the Matrix. We can talk about baseball. Girls who have broken our hearts. The Matrix.
Yeah. But at Comic-Con 2003, Kevin Smith was there promoting, oh God, what was it? I think it might've been Jersey Girl, right? And he was there, and I wanted to go ask him. I just wanted to say, could Jersey Girl kill the grimace? Right. I just wanted to ask that very simple question.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Because I just wanted to like let him know that there are diehard Clerks animated series fans out there. My entire friend group I was with, like the 9 of us, were all big fans. And I go up there and I'm like the last person, and they ask me, oh, what do you want to ask him? I said, it's just very quick. I just want to say this. And they said, okay. And then, cause he's a long-winded motherfucker. Right. So, they end up running out of time and they send me back to my chair. But my friend Leighton, and keep in mind, we're in a room of 4,300 people, and we're 2/3 of the way back. And my friend Leighton waits for a slow moment, and he just blurts out, could Jersey Girl kill the grimace? Just yells it. And you can just watch Kevin like on the monitor, and you can hear the sound reach his ears. He's like cleaning his glasses, and he just looks up and goes, nothing could kill the grimace.
Fucking A.
And like maybe 10, 15 people like literally jump up and like applaud, and we're all like cheering and clapping, and and I never saw the look on his face because we were all just like very happy in the moment. But I was always like, I mean, I gotta wonder, like, did he ever just go like, all right, those are my peeps?
Yeah, I'm sure that brought a smile to his face. I mean, because you got to consider he probably, like in his mind, he's an optimistic guy. He probably wanted to do the next Simpsons or Family Guy or something with the Clerks show, right? And getting canceled and fucking shit can like that, it's probably pretty fulfilling to know that it resonated with some people so much.
It really did. And I will say this though before we move on, but I will say, if you are ever looking for very similar humor, believe it or not, Kim Possible is what you should look into, because the animation team that did Clerks the animated series went on to go do Kim Possible.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of the same kind of gag humor that's in there. So like, that's fast. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I also have to fully admit that on the Clerks 10th anniversary edition, the fact that they went back and they animated the deleted or the never filmed funeral scene.
Yes.
Like
good shit.
that was really, really, really good. Cause I remember I bought the Clerks comic book when it came out, and they had like 3 issues, and one of them was that deleted scene in a comic book form. And it was good. It was really solid, man. Like I cannot wait for Clerks 3. That to me is like my 2022 film right there. Like,
yeah.
because I saw Clerks initially when I was 15, and it was recommended to me by the guy at the Tigard Public Library. Was like, I asked him, I said, "Hey, what should I check out?" And he was like, "You ever heard of Clerks?" I'm all like, "No." And he, like, this would have been 95, I think, right? No, I was 15, then 97. And he's like, "You ever heard of Clerks?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "This is the most rented movie of all time. Here, watch it." I'm like, "All right." And I was like, that was like mind blown, right? This shitty.
Mine was Mallrats. That was my introduction. And,
well,
yeah.
Mallrats was already on home video at the time. I didn't know that they were connected. So I went out and I was able to get Mallrats like right afterward. And that I've watched Mallrats more than I've watched Clerks. And I've watched Clerks a lot. And I fucking adore Mallrats. Every time someone talks shit about Mallrats, I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah. Even yesterday, dude, my girlfriend took my kid to the store. They come home with these chocolate covered pretzels. Right. And even then, like, my girlfriend goes to the bathroom because I get one, I hand it to her. I'm like, "Hey, would you like a chocolate covered pretzel? They're a little melty, but boy, are they delicious."
Yeah, I quoted any chance I get. Like, honestly, like I think I was probably 15 or something when it came out. I don't know, but like, I was a awkward comic book kid. This is back before, a lot of people were into comics, so it was like not cool. And there were the people that, there was still the stereotype that if you read comics, you're just a huge dork and you're not cool. And here's Brody, who is a huge fucking nerd, but he's also cool as fuck. He's smart ass. He's got the cool dialogue. You know what I mean? And it's like, that guy was my hero through high school.
I love Jason Lee. I mean, I even watched the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies because of Jason Lee.
Oh, well, real quick, because I know you need to move on, but did you see Jay and Silent Bob Reboot?
You know what? I didn't. And the only reason I have for that, and I know I'm a big fan, but like I haven't watched it yet. The only reason I have is because I had just heard that it wasn't very good. And I think when it came out, I was just kind of in this place where I'm like the pandemic had like just started, I think. Because when he came to Seattle to screen the movie, because he was doing the road show like he usually does, he did a detour to Olympia, right? A small little fucking nothing town. He brought the movie here to the Film Society. I didn't know about it till the day after. And I was like, fuck, I should have gone and seen it. But for me, it was just, I heard it was not good. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want that in my brain. If it's not good, I don't want to I don't want this to be like Yoga Hosers.
So it's not like Yoga Hosers. I promise you that. So I would not call it, if you haven't seen a Kevin Smith movie or all of them, or if you're not like a fan like you and I are and were back in the day, then I would not say that you should watch it and expect to have a great time. But it is 100% made for us. Like, there's so much love for the fans and appreciation for, his career, and just like every little thing in it is a tribute to the fans and everything that all the stuff we've loved about it. And so it's not what I would call an objectively great movie, but I had a damn good time, and there's some genuinely hilarious shit in it for sure.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd give it a shot, man. Try it out.
All right. Yeah. I mean, again, like I know a lot about like the View Askew universe and whatnot. From like, cause that was what it was called back in the day. Like, I just remember like having the conversation with my friend about Julie Dwyer,
Okay.
like how cause Mallrats, if you guys don't know, Mallrats takes place the next day after Clerks.
Yep.
So, and then like Chasing Amy.
First cinematic universe, really.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, and the fact that it played off across multiple studios is very interesting. Because it started off with fucking Miramax. Universal did Mallrats. Lionsgate did Dogma. Miramax did Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And then I think I want to say maybe it's Paramount, or no, maybe it was Miramax that did Jersey Girl. But we don't talk much about Jersey Girl.
We don't.
Well, here's that movie came out on my birthday in 2004, right? It was up against Scooby-Doo, the sequel. And I took my mom to go see Jersey Girl, because again, huge Smith fan. and everything else. And my mom loved it. My mom cried like twice during the movie. So like it resonated with my mom, you know, and that whole bit with like Ben Affleck talking with Will Smith about like how much he loves his kid. That's a really nice moment that I think when you are, you know, you don't really recognize when you're younger, but the older you get, when you have kids of your own, you got to go, oh yeah. Okay.
Well, there's some stuff, there's some Ben Affleck doing basically the same thing in Reboot, and it's even better. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some very meta cool ass references as well.
Okay.
And I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick and be right back. I just want to say that they gave us $5 for lunch today. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, I love. Okay, so Jess here says that Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back had some of the best deleted scenes. Nice. Rational here says Dogma is a good film. I actually read the script for Dogma in June of 1999. It was uploaded to a website called script-o-rama.com, and I believe it's still active. And I found a lot of screenplays on there that I was reading through. And I remember sitting in the high school library reading the Dogma script and openly laughing out loud before. And then from there, I was dying to see the movie. And I when it came out later on in the year, it was like October, I think. October or November is when it came out. I dipped out of class early that day and took some of my buddies. We jumped in the car. We went down to the theater. We all watched the first showing of Dogma. So, I mean, yeah, dude, like I have I'm a Kevin Smith fan. I haven't been as into it in the last couple. I think like I watched like Red State and that was, I liked Red State quite a bit when that came out in 2011 or 2011 for that one. I thought it was pretty good. Cause it was different than Kevin Smith. There's one that he wrote, I want to see, called Hell in a Handbag, which is basically about like, they need to like, there's a giant, they need to like a bunch of like religious fundamentalists like have to go and find Satan because Satan is the only one who can stop a gigantic rapturing Jesus. So I think he kind of framed it like it was like Godzilla and everything else. It was weird. He wrote it really, really, really high. So there's that. Dark Beast here says, hey Matt, Boba Fett should be the Punisher. Raffle. Gotta love people whose mental image of him doesn't match reality. I mean, he accidentally sold himself as a child bride and died to a blind man. I mean, like the thing, yeah, kind of. The thing is, you know, Boba Fett. I like the character of Boba Fett. My problem with the last episode had a lot to do with the bikes. I know about the American Graffiti reference and I get all that stuff. I feel the editing wasn't the greatest, or even the shooting of it wasn't the greatest. However, I'm waiting for the story to begin. All the flashbacks with the Tuskens was amazing. The train robbery sequence was badass. I loved all that stuff. And probably one of my favorite elements of Boba Fett thus far is the fact that him and Fennec are just in over their damn head. And I like that. I think that should be played up even more, where it's like, no, this guy is like trying to maintain control and he's going to be up against a bunch of these other families. The downside is, though, it's like we're 3 episodes in and I don't feel like they've really given us that hook like, you know, like Peacemaker's 3 episodes has. So I just kind of feel like the structure is a little bit different. And, you know, but I do agree here with H-Bars for $5, man. Thank you. Saying, I like the show, meaning Book of Boba Fett, but my God, do these shows need consistent run times? Why don't they do it? I don't know, man. I don't know why the shows are like, you know, 40 minutes here, 35 minutes here. I know they say like they should be as long as they need to be, but I think one of the bigger things with Peacemaker is Peacemaker feels like it was shot like a television show and not like an 8-hour movie.
True.
You know, and I know because even earlier tonight on Dane's live stream, he was talking about like how serialized storytelling ended up taking over in the television space back like in the early 2000s, right?
Yeah, pretty much beginning with Sopranos. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing with that, though, is, again, that was still serialized storytelling, but it was treated like a television show. So, because we're used to the format of a television show, and we can sit through 44 minutes. You're okay with 44 minutes. It's not that much of an investment if you think about it, right? There's like 1,440 minutes in the day, 44 minutes ain't going to kill you, sort of thing. And so we can get into that there. But it's like, even on YouTube, they've even said, here's the thing, this is true. Even YouTube has said that if you want a really, really, really solid, like, time length of a video or like a live stream, just do 45 minutes, because that's enough for people to feel like they got their time, got their money worth, so to speak. Feels so long that it's too daunting to get into. Because even right now, we've been live for an hour and 24 minutes, which I'm having a great time. Thank you again, Dane, for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks.
And you know, but it's like still, it's like the people watching this on the back end, you know, only a few make it all the way through. And the longer the stream is, again, the fewer people actually dive in. So it's just something there to consider yet. H Barts though did ask, have I watched Wheel of Time yet? No, I haven't. I need to. I've been working on, I know I'm going to catch so much fucking shit for this. I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077 and having a ball with it.
Yes.
So like I put it down because everyone was talking all the shit and it needed some work. It's a lot of fucking fun. Like I got this bat that puts out like 1100 damage. And I just like, and I have like the advanced ankles where I can do like the high jump. So I just like jump up, I perch on this like building like I'm fucking Batman. And then like I look at and I do a running jump and I leap down like right on these guys and I just bring the bat up and I crack them and I'm like, and I beat them all down and shit. And then you can, you know, sometimes they die, sometimes they don't. And then I just pull up my pistol and I execute every last fucking one of them. You know, I'm all like, nope, you fucking this. I go Gunisher on that shit, man. Just saying. I like Cyberpunk 2077. And Jess here says TikTok has made people's attention spans really small. It's not TikTok, dude. Oh, it ain't TikTok. It's it's been a problem for a long time. There's a reason why the shorts on YouTube do really, really well. Here's the shitty thing about shorts, Dane. They don't, all the views like in the watch time that shorts accumulate do not add towards your total watch time. Which is really,
you actually gain any subs from it though?
You can gain subs. Yeah, you can gain subs because people can like, they can sub to you on there. Here's the thing, as I do shorts and whatnot. I do TikToks and then I just upload them as shorts. But it's like, I watch TikTok. I don't really do the YouTube short thing because what bugs me is just like how much of it was just like booty dancing, you know? And that was, but it has to, the algorithm has to learn what your content is, what you like to watch. And so at the beginning, it's just like, yo, you want to see some ladies with tight shorts and they're bouncing around, because who doesn't like that? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure, obviously. But it's like, no, I want to get to some good shit, you know? Like I'm not looking for like the e-thoughts who have OnlyFans that are just, you know, because there's a lot of girls on TikTok that would just like, they pimp their OnlyFans, but they sit there in some provocative clothing for like 10 seconds. They literally do nothing. And the video gets like 3 million hearts. And I'm like, will you guys go jack off to anything else? Like, come on, you guys, lonely motherfuckers, dude. Which just tells me, Dan, that we're in the wrong business.
Yeah, we really are.
We should bronze our nut sacks and then just be like, bam, you know, Bronly fans.
Bronly fans.
Anyway, Dark Beast here says, shake that booty and dance for us. No. But H Bart's here for $5. I think he says, very much looking forward to Lord of the Rings this year. But if they don't keep the look of Jackson's films, I'm going to feel not as invested. I agree. I absolutely agree. But that one image they put out, you saw that image of the Lord of the Rings show, right, Dane?
No, I didn't. Actually.
I'll find it real quick because I am running though in my last 20 minutes, but we'll TV show. We'll just bring this up because the image they showed us looks pretty fucking dope. So let me see this. How big is it? Yeah, that's fine. All right. Sorry. All right. I'm trying to like save it and then upload it. You know how it goes. Okay, here we go. Check this out. Look at that.
Oh shit.
That's the fucking Amazon show, man.
Yeah, well, anybody that's watches, well, it just ended last night, but anybody that's watched The Expanse on Amazon, like they know how to, you know, do a big budget special effects show. You know, like I wasn't really doubting it, but it's really cool to see it. Just that fits right in with you know, the original trilogy.
This feels like Lord of the Rings. Like it feels like Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Cause I think they understand, like, if you're going to pump out the $1 billion that's rumored to be there for this, if you're going to pump out the $1 billion, then, you know, like you're going to want to make it look and feel like it is like the Jackson movies. You know, it doesn't have to be them. It just has to feel like them. And I'm hearing like this is not going to even be like 8 episodes. Like I'm hearing like 22 episode seasons.
Wow.
Like we're talking full on. Cause I mean, look, the deal that Jeff Bezos personally brokered with the Tolkien estate was like a $250 million purchase price for just the licensing rights for 5 seasons. So like 50 mil a season. And that's the licensing rights to the Tolkien estate. And then, so it's 5 shows, 5 seasons with a rumored estimated budget of $750 million divvied up across those 5 seasons.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
That's insane. That's fucking insane. That's nuts to me. I'm like, cause they announced like in 2017. And so now they're just working on it. Now the first season's done. They're finishing up I'm pretty sure they're filming more, as we go into this here, because this is going to be a huge show. The only downside though is like Nerdrotic did a video a while back where he was effectively trying to argue that he's like, well, you never know. You just never know. They might even introduce CRT in the Lord of the Rings.
Oh my God.
And I'm all like, what the fuck are you babbling about, dude? Like,
I'd love to be able to just say, oh yeah, what is CRT?
Oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. But what can you say? Yeah, I just got sent this, that Nerdrotic is clearly not a fan of the Leslie Grace costume. It says here, what a joke. They made a better costume in 1966. Because again, nothing is ever good enough. That's the problem. Nothing is ever good enough because it's not white men. And I don't feel bad for saying that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really wondering, does he even know what the source of that costume design is? I'd love to hear his detailed explanation why it's bad, and I really wish I could just ask these people that sometimes, like, please explain in detail what your issue is.
Yeah, I know. They don't actually like read comics, even though Gary owned a comic book shop. He's openly admitted that all the profits he made went right up his nose.
Yeah. Well,
so it be what it be. But all right, let's get to the last couple super chats here. H Bart's here says, again, $5, buddy. Thank you. Says 22 episodes a season is worrying. That might be a lot of filler. That's my problem. I think 13 is fine. I think 13 is good. 10 at the very minimum. 8, 6. Fuck off, Disney. Anyway.
Well, I mean, see, like with my main issue with the Netflix Marvel shows was that, like, even the Daredevil, it's like one of my favorite shows ever. I love all 3 seasons, and they probably could have done with like 2 fewer episodes each season. They could
have cut out a little bit of the fluff. I get that.
Yeah.
But they're also adhering to, like, at the time, the cable television model. We're kind of past that now.
Yeah,
with this kind world.
Of transitional state then. Yeah.
So like if you want to give me a 6 episode show, have it be solid. Like I think the problem with Disney with the Marvel shows, and I do enjoy the Marvel shows, but it's like you look at Hawkeye. Hawkeye needed 2 more episodes, or at least longer episodes, in order to fill in some of the plot points, and then they could maybe remove other plot points like the LARPers. I felt were kind of a drag. But
dude, you didn't like the LARPer scene?
I liked it when they went to the LARPing, to the park and the LARPers,
bringing them back and having them be part of the thing. Yeah,
I mean, like having them be part of his team was fine. I had no issue with that, right? But when it's like when they go, well, no one's paying attention to us. Hold on, I've got an idea, and they come out in their LARPing costumes, and I'm all like, girl, you a cop? Dude, you a paramedic? Or, you're a firefighter. I don't know what the other 2 people are, but I'm pretty sure you could do something where you could direct traffic. You don't need to be like a bunch of rich New York socialites running out and seeing someone dressed like they're a blacksmith, and like fucking.
Well, yeah, and like you're right, because I forgot that they're like at least one of them's a cop, and it's like people are getting shot at and shit, and it's like maybe you need to put on your official costume instead of like it's not the good time to just let's have some funsies, right?
Well, and not only that, but then you got like the Swordmaster guy comes out, who I really liked the guy, by the way. I thought he was a great character in the show, but he comes out and he slices up a couple people. Never mind that like they make the whole gag about he's currently on parole, like he's under investigation for murdering someone with the sword, and he wears his sword in public. It's like, all right, wannabe Zorro type and shit. And then he ends up killing like 3 of the tracksuit guys. And at the end, they're just like, you ever thought about LARPing? Like, okay, you guys, you
Yeah.
were right there, guys. That was a little bit of a thing. But I mean, look, the 22 episodes a season, if I'm hearing that right, they'd better tell an epic grand story with that. And that, you know what? It's Lord of the Rings. You don't fuck around with Lord of the Rings. All right. Like, listen, you could burn the Bible. No one's going to give a shit. All right. But you fuck with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Nobody that matters. Anyway,
You know what I mean? You fuck with Lord of the Rings though, dude, and you're going to have a riot on that shit. And then H Bars here also says for $2, thank you, buddy. Says, did you see The Rock bitch ass praise Jeff Bezos? Dude, that doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me. You can look at Jeff Bezos now and be like, what's up, Lil Rock? You know, like, because he looks like a fucking Bond villain.
Yeah.
And you know, and then The Rock is like his number 2 sort of thing.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, because again, if you don't ever, I always say this about The Rock. Like, I like the guy, but he's a brand. He's a brand. He's not a movie star. He's a brand. And if you're hanging out with like Jeff Bezos and shit, and you're like praising Jeff Bezos, and you're going to be doing a movie called Red One for Amazon, which is it's like I guess he's playing fucking Santa Claus because the goddamn Tooth Fairy wasn't bad enough. You know, never mind, like your Red Notice sequels are getting back to back made over there at Netflix for a couple $100 million. It's like, this is a brand. He's a brand. Get your ass back to fucking Fast and Furious and finish that shit out, bitch.
Right? Yeah.
That's what I'd say. I would say that to his face. I'd be like, bitch, get back to fucking Fast and Furious and shit. I don't give a fuck about this Red One shit. I want to see family. Anyway, family. All right. Commander here with 6 shekels, buddy. Says, I enjoyed the shorts that I get on YouTube. Nice, man. I mean, but they also tailor it to your specific likes as well. And so there's that. Okay. All right. And there's a couple, I love it. I get towards the end of the night, and then my wonderful, amazing audience is like, here's more super chats. All right, we'll do these last 2 real quick, and then we got to get into the whole thing with Geoff Johns. So H Bart's here says, Bert and Birdie should have directed the last Hawkeye episode. I think they could have pulled it off. Yeah, I think the guy who directed it, who also directed like the first episode, he did good on the first episode, but that last episode, it felt kind of rushed. And
bit, yeah.
the pacing and the edit, I don't know why. Again, you're rocking this shit on fucking, you're rocking this shit on Disney Plus. Time means nothing. So I know that like it's, you know, there's still a cost per minute that's associated with the production, but there's no need to have it be as fastly paced as that. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on in the future. But I also feel that this was their first batch and that they're figuring it out.
True.
I think they're realizing that it's like treating these like a 6-hour movie sounds good on paper, but when you're doing an actual television production, not so much. So something, I mean, I'm hoping. I love Feige. I love Marvel.
I think that's why WandaVision worked so well. I mean, not to say that I've enjoyed all of them, but like WandaVision worked well because of the fact that it was in the DNA of it that it was episodic, at least, you know, up until the last couple episodes. Like it was literally episodes of TV essentially.
Yeah.
So like it worked really well in that regard. But yeah, then once they started getting more into, I think the balance was mostly struck well with Loki for the most part. But I definitely see with Hawkeye, especially the last episode, it was rushed, and there was a couple of spots where it's like, you know, because I did have that in my mind that they had said we're going to make these just like we make the movies. You know what I mean? Like, so and that's what I'm expecting. That's my expectations. Is like, okay, I don't want to be questioning the edit and the action pacing and stuff. And I kind of did a couple times. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think Loki. I think for me, I grew up watching like those old sitcoms on Nickelodeon, Nick at Night and stuff like that. So I love the old sitcoms. And the first couple episodes of WandaVision absolutely sold me on what they were trying to do. I watched them multiple times. The acting was fantastic. The effects are, I mean, Matt Shankman did a really good job directing everything. And then you get to Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was, you know, that was a bit all over the place, but they also had to cut storyline for COVID. And also there was a pandemic storyline that they cut because of COVID, but there are problems there. I feel it nailed what it needed to nail. Isaiah Bradley was awesome. Why he didn't get the Emmy nod is very weird, but it was a fun enough show. And then when you get over to Loki, I think just set the bar because Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston had great chemistry. Also, Sylvie and Loki were fantastic.
Yep.
And I had it all the way through. But again, that could have been maybe one episode longer to just kind of flesh it out a little bit more. But for what it opened up was pretty great. And then What If was like a kind of a nice palette reset over the summer. Not the best thing ever, but it was fun. But then now those are going to be worth a rewatch because after Multiverse of Madness, because who knows what that's going to open up now. And then also Hawkeye was fun up until the ending, but the ending wasn't terrible. It was just like, it was a bit mismanaged. I'm hoping that Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Echo. I mean, okay, Echo, I keep meaning to talk about this again really quickly. Echo has brought on the writers from season 2 of Daredevil.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You got me. I'm in, because that's my favorite season. I want nothing more than there to be a Punisher and Daredevil show. And a lot of it is just their dueling ideologies, waging war through conversation. That was my favorite parts of that season, outside of the sheer fucking violence that we will never get again.
Same. Yeah.
So there's that anyway. And then also Rational here for $5, man. Thank you. Says Lord of the Rings show has great visuals, but will the story land with fans and the general audience?
See, I think they're going with the, I think they're kind of relying on people to kind of have a similar affinity, willingness to engage with it, like Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah. Well, because here's the thing with that. What prompted Jeff Bezos to make this deal is at the time, because Game of Thrones at the time was in like between season 7 and, it was like season 7 and season 8, right? And it was kind of at its apex, I would argue. All the hype going into the final season. And then Jeff Bezos was like, yo, dog, I want a Game of Thrones show. Because at the time, Amazon was focusing on like period shows. You know, they did one like The Last Tycoon. It was an old F. Scott Fitzgerald like novel that was never finished, right? But it was about like old like 1920s Hollywood with Matt Bomer, Kelsey Grammer, Lily Collins. Awesome show. Really good show. Had one season, ended on a cliffhanger, and then they canceled it because it was expensive because of all like the old timey shit. They also did like another like Zelda Fitzgerald show with Christina Ricci that got one season. They canceled that. The Tick they canceled. They were trying to do something a little bit different, and they were trying to focus on like more like niche-y, like I would argue kind of like Downton Abbey type stuff. I would say like this kind of like older maybe period soaps, but without capturing the magic that is Downton Abbey. Because only Julian Fellows can do that. Sorry, not sorry. I fucking love that shit. If you haven't seen Downton Abbey, Dane, you are missing out.
I really struggle to connect with shows about snooty rich people. Like everybody's like, Succession's so great, and I like barely made it through the first episode.
No, this is a soap opera. It's a soap opera, but it's about the upstairs and downstairs. There's 16 characters with 16 intertwining storylines. It's good. It's good. I mean, like it's a soap opera, especially season 2. But you get to know the characters and you just kind of fall in love with the setting. I would recommend it. I know H. Barts would agree because he's also a big Downton Abbey fan. And it kind of captures all, just to be fair. But anyway, yeah. I think with Lord of the Rings, what they're going to have to do is very much lead into the story and then hook people with something right away. I hope they don't rely too much on fan service because it's not being produced with Warner Brothers or New Line or Peter Jackson. So they can't really reference a lot. You know, they'll have to do very vague references that people are going to know about. But I'm hoping that they're able to make it hook. I know J.A. Boyena, who did Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom, I think is directing the pilot. So, and I liked him. I liked his work on that. He's also done some horror stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. And they've been working on this thing for years. So, I mean, if they fuck this up, man, it's like, that's a lot of money wasted. And that's going to be a lot of fans that are not going to. If you think the blowback to season fucking 8 of Game of Thrones was bad, just wait. If this is bad. I'm very much not looking forward to any of that stuff. And then also H. Bar here says, don't make it Game of Thrones. Lord of the Rings is not Game of Thrones. Well, I'm hoping that it's not. I mean, look, I don't think you're going to get like sex, nudity, and incest, right? But like, there's going to be a lot of beheadings and some magical shit. Maybe no demon babies, but
yeah,
I mean, but the thing is though, but the world has been kind of captivated by Game of Thrones, and that is going to be what a lot of people are going to have their intentions set on. Wheel of Time did very well. I haven't seen it, but looking at it, it kind of played in a little bit to what Game of Thrones had done while still kind of doing their own thing. But I need to sit down and watch it because I like the books. But with Lord of the Rings, though, again, that's a whole other. There are like Tolkien scholars that exist. You know what I mean? Like people that legitimately fucking exist just to study Tolkien, like theologists.
Stephen Colbert is a fucking walking Lord of the Rings encyclopedia.
Yeah. Well, if Colbert hates it, if Colbert talks shit about it, that's going to be a real, because like I love Colbert, like especially when he talks Lord of the Rings, because that is when him at his most giddy. Mm-hmm. And that's the passion I like and stuff. So I'm really hoping that. But anyway, H Barts here did also talk about accountability over entertainment, which is going to bring us to the final topic of the night, because I have to get going here in like 10 minutes. That of course is that we are getting a new Flashpoint series, a new comic book coming out this year, which I find to be very interesting given what's coming out at the end of the year. So Thomas Wayne's Batman lives on in Flashpoint Beyond, an event series from DC Comics from the original Flashpoint writer, Geoff Johns. He's returning to a world that changed the DC continuity forever.
Yeah, it makes sense that because Marvel does this all the time. Like when one of the reasons that a lot of people were like pretty sure Kingpin was going to show up in Hawkeye was because they had announced in the comics they were doing Devil's Reign, which is an event that's still ongoing, where Kingpin basically outlaws superheroes, and it's very Kingpin centered. And it's like, so Marvel is always doing a comic book that corresponds in some way with what they're doing in the movies. So like when even going back as far as like Spider-Man 3, when he got the black suit in that movie, and at the same exact time in the comics, Spider-Man, for whatever reason at the time, started wearing his black suit for a while. Yeah. So it's like little things like that. So and then when Infinity War came out, they did Infinity Wars, a new event involving the Infinity Stones in the comics. And it's like not even remotely the same story, but they'll definitely use that branding. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they'll try to put those, whatever characters are big at the time, they'll try and put those at the forefront in the comics. Like Echo, for example, has been pushed to the forefront recently, and actually has the Phoenix Force in the comics right now. So yeah, it's all corporate synergy essentially. So I'm not surprised by this at all.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they need the Flash to kick off whatever the hell's going to be coming next for the movies. So why not go back and reboot, or find a way to kind of keep this thing moving. So apparently this particular storyline shows Thomas Wayne waking up in a world he thought was over after he agreed to help the Flash save the universe, and therefore an alternate reality version of his son, Bruce, the Batman of the prime DC universe. Now back in the cowl in a universe he didn't expect to exist anymore, Thomas Wayne finds himself hunting the Clockwork Killer, a dangerous new adversary stalking the streets of Gotham City. So it's a bit of a side story. But it shows us that just because one universe may not exist, or you think it won't, you might save one universe, yours is not going to change. That's the whole point of the multiverse theory. It's not all, but who knows? They're probably still going to try to find a way to merge it all together. So this is the cover here. We can, I'm assuming that's Penguin, right there at the nose.
It looks like it, yeah. And then Constantine, and that looks like
Aquaman and Hawkgirl.
No, I might be some version of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, well, it looks like there might be. So John Sear says, this is big for DC. This is for fans of big DC events and the great history of DC when it comes to comic books. And even though this is an event, it's focused on character over concept. It's a story of Thomas Wayne Batman, a Barry Allen that could have been the crimes of Bruce Wayne. It's a murder mystery, a secret mission, and a look into the past, present, and future of the continuum of DC. It's as dark as it can get in this upside down world of Flashpoint. It's fun. They say it's going to be dark, but there's no dicks.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no dicks, then boycott.
There's no dicks. Yeah. Probably not even a Grayson, but there's, maybe. And then it says, cool cover. No, this is dope. That's I will admit that's
He's got the trident. He's got, was that Deathstroke's sword, I think.
yeah, that's pretty that's pretty lit, dude. I'll fully admit that shit. So then Flashpoint World will only continue to expand weeks later with the release of Flashpoint Beyond #1, co-written by Johns. So which will move the action to Europe that sees Thomas Wayne clash with King Aquaman as the Mad King of the Seven Seas prepares to sink London. The series will also be dropping new issues every 2 weeks, so things will move fast. That's pretty quick. That they're doing twice a month releases. That's pretty quick.
It's probably as well. It's probably to capitalize on audiences that might not normally buy comics. So it's like to kind of, I understand it might be easy to forget that if like you buy an issue #1 for something you're excited, and then like a month goes by and you're kind of like, I'm over it. Whereas if it's like every 2 weeks, you might be more inclined to keep on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I have a feeling that this is probably also going to tie in with the Flash movie that's going to be coming out, because that's clearly a take on Flashpoint, even though they don't want to call it Flashpoint. But eventually, they're going to call it Flashpoint when they want to reboot everything.
It was originally called Flashpoint, the movie. Yeah.
It's
been retooled, but yeah, that element seems to have remained to some degree. So.
Oh yeah, he'll probably eventually he'll somehow go, I'm going to go back and try to save my mom, and then he'll fuck up somewhere. And then he won't actually do the Flashpoint storyline, but it's going to be like Flashpoint adjacent. Mm-hmm. And then they'll be able to later on, have him figure out how to do it better and then go back and kick off the actual Flashpoint story. Which again, a lot of people really want to see the Thomas Wayne Batman. However, so this came out today and this was trending. A lot of people were talking about this. I mean, look, I really fucking like, I really like that cover.
Yeah.
But Ray Fisher had something to say about this. Just tweeted out, Geoff Johns is still a racist. Accountability over entertainment. Now, this is everything that's going on with the whole Ray Fisher versus Warner Brothers over the reshoots of Justice League from 2017. Mm-hmm. And this has kind of been like disputed because he's been saying this for a while. And look, a lot of people out there, I'm just going to say this. A lot of people out there have been, they tweet out like, restore the Snyderverse, right? You can see here a tweet from an account you muted. Oh, well, that's Brian. I got to unmute him, actually. Let me just actually unmute him. There we go. I forgot that I did that. But anyway, a lot of people using the restore the Snyderverse hashtag here. If Zach won't come back without Ray, and Ray is openly going after Geoff Johns, who is the showrunner of Stargirl and still kind of a power player over there at DC Comics, I kind of think this means he ain't going to come back. Just saying. You're kind of torching your line there.
Yeah, I mean, he's completely committed to this. You know what's weird is I never even got into the details of like what was the racism accusations about. Like,
it was like according to, here we go. So there's a Variety article from actually about a year ago, a little over a year ago. It says that Geoff Johns still working with Warner Media despite Ray Fisher's claim writer is leaving studio. So Ray Fisher put out this statement saying that the Warner Brothers PR team struggled to regain control of the narrative ever since they failed to bury me in the Justice League investigation with their September 4th hit piece, which unsurprisingly was written by, I guess, a woman named Joanna Fuentes. The fact is, Justice League investigation led to Warner Media and its affiliates parting way with Joss Whedon, which is true. Geoff Johns will be following suit. Had Hamada gotten his way, none of that would have been possible, and the cycle of abuse would have continued. So even though Walter Hamada was not actually at Warner Brothers during the time of the reshoots, he has caught the ire of Ray Fisher because Walter Hamada is the one who's in charge of DC Films. And that is the whole argument there. But during the production of the reshoots, Geoff Johns is alleged to have said that nobody wants to see an angry black man at the center of the movie. And as a result of everything that went into those reshoots, the movie was also cut down to 2 hours, but that was an edict set forward by the former head of Warner Brothers, Kevin Tushihara, who had done that like literally in 2016 when they were
right after Batman versus Superman.
Like, so it wasn't like a new order, but it was something that they wanted. And so if you look at what Zack Snyder filmed, right? If you look at what Zack Snyder filmed that we got in the Snyder Cut, how much of that do you think half of that would have not made it to the fucking theaters? Half of it wouldn't have made it to the theaters. And a lot of it would have been left on the cutting room floor because they wouldn't have had the budget to finish the special effects. So there's a lot there with that in regards to everything. I do feel that Ray Fisher's storyline was the emotional centerpiece of that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
It was great. His acting was fantastic. And they made the right call to do the Snyder Cut as a 4-hour movie. But ever since everything's gone on, he's again, like Joss Whedon is gone, but Geoff Johns is there. And Ray Fisher has said that basically Hamada dangled a part in The Flash over his head, provided that, he kind of rolled over on Joss Whedon and deflected away from Geoff Johns. They wanted to protect Geoff Johns. Well, even though a little over a year ago, Ray Fisher was saying that Geoff Johns was going to be out as well, that hasn't happened, which is probably the reason why he's tweeting out Geoff Johns is still the racist. But there's been a little bit of pushback on that doesn't get talked about very often. In an article today, or an article from April of last year, over on USA Today, Ray Fisher alleges Justice League execs didn't want Angry Black Man. And again, talking about the accusations against Geoff Johns, I'm trying to find, I think it's down over here. Okay. So Anissa Dorsey, who is, I believe, she's a black woman, was married to Geoff Johns. And she put out a statement defending him, saying that she will always believe he is innocent of these racist stories and fictitious allegations against him, saying, "I'm a proud, beautiful, strong, and intelligent black woman from Louisiana, and I came to California to escape real racism. Geoff has enjoyed and been a part of a black family since 2000, and someone's bad feelings cannot erase time nor the truth." Mm-hmm. And so, so it's been this ongoing fight that's been happening for quite some time. And every time something with Geoff Johns pops up, Ray comes out and he fires off something like this. And as you can see here, 2,500 retweets, people are talking about it. So it's a complicated issue.
Well, so I guess maybe I might be missed if you explained it, because I'm kind of tired, but
sure.
He says that executives said this, but is there any direct evidence that he's talking about Geoff Johns?
Yes. Sorry. I should clarify that for I thought, again, this has been an ongoing subject.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So at the time, in 2016, after the release of BVS, when, Warner's cut a half hour of it out and the movie had a lot of problems in the box office, and there was a shaking of faith in Zack Snyder's vision, they brought in, they removed Zack Snyder as being the one in charge of the DCEU. They brought in Geoff Johns and John Berg to oversee it. Geoff Johns was then, because he was then heading up DC Films at the time, co-head of DC Films with John Berg during the 2016 summer, or during the shooting of the film, and then, of course, the eventual reshoots in the summer of 2017, following the passing of Adam Snyder and Zack leaving the project. Mm-hmm. And so there was, and even Ben had recently said there's a lot of problems on that. Gal Gadot had said that there's a lot of problems. She pointed the finger at Joss Whedon. Joss has had many allegations levied against him in regards to, not like, some people called him like a rapist. He's not, no, he's an asshole, right? Like a lot of stuff got conflated. He's an asshole. So he speaks down to people. He treats them like shit. Like I heard from a very particular person some stuff about him, but the firsthand source, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I kind of believe all that stuff about Joss Whedon, and it's good that he's not there being the abuse, being the one that's abusive. My question then becomes, and this is simply a question, is it possible that Geoff Johns was way the fuck over his head and was trying to appeal to a particular, corporate mandate that he didn't understand? Because this guy's not a film guy. He's a comic book writer. He's an artist. You know what I mean?
They wanted him to be the Feige, and that's not really a skill set.
Yeah. And I'm not like, again, I'm not, I'm not accusing or excusing anything. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to ask some questions. Now, H. Rice here says, Ben never talked about Ray Fisher. I don't necessarily know if he did or didn't do that, to be honest with you. So there's that. I think it would be better, Music Man here says Ray needs to stop. That's kind of been an ongoing thing, from a lot of people that are kind of just tired of that kind of, people want to see receipts. I mean, Ray exposed that there was a big problem on the production of Justice League for the reshoots. Obviously, as we can tell from the finished product, it was fucked. So and he's been wanting to get, Jason Momoa had chimed in on some problems with this and everything else. And you could tell that is executives that were probably just trying to cover their own ass. Like, the reason why why Justice League was released in November of 2017 and not delayed in order to allow Zach to grieve. And it wasn't because of like anything else other than Kevin Tushihara and Toby Emmerich wanted to get their end of the year bonus for putting out the movie. But the reason why they wanted to get that bonus was not specifically for just like pure greed, because the incoming AT&T buyout of Time Warner was set to be completed in 2018, and they didn't know if they were going to get fired. And so they would have lost those bonuses. They would have lost those bonuses had they been terminated and the movie not come out. So it goes to show you that the incoming merger had a problem with that. Now we got another incoming merger, and there are people that are out there that are, today they're like, because of this trending, like, oh, boycott, Warner Brothers and all this shit. The merger is going to save everything. It ain't going to do shit. You know what I mean? Like, I firmly believe they're not wanting to go back into that world. Obviously Batgirl and Blue Beetle and whatever the Flash is fucking doing, is clearly the direction that they're going. Obviously, even with this new Flashpoint Beyond, that is something that is probably going to tie into something we see down the road. Because as you pointed out, they kind of like to put those characters in the forefront when they're going to do something with them.
True. Yeah. And it's more or less like, I would imagine that they know that there is a demand for Thomas Wayne, the Flashpoint Batman. They probably just want to, with this, one of the things they're going to do, the comic, is gauge how much of a demand, like how much can we really get eyeballs on this, and get people to buy this comic. And if the numbers are they might spin that off into a movie or something. Don't know. But.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I mean, it's a complicated issue. I think at this point it's, like, look, the situation is not going to be handled. It's already been handled in the media. You know what I mean? Like, the investigation was completed. They took remedial action, them being Warner Media, by letting go of Joss Whedon. So they clearly found problems there. But because it was only one, well, so there were three of the main targets for Ray. There was the Joss Whedon, who was let go. There was John Berg, who had called Ray and apologized. And then there's Geoff Johns, who has not apologized publicly, at least, and probably not at all. And then who has gone on to produce and write and showrun Stargirl, which is a popular show, and then now doing this as well. So they're that's kind of the contention at this point.
Well, so can I play devil's advocate here?
Absolutely.
And please nobody clip me and cancel me or anything. So the problem, the racist thing that was said is nobody wants an angry black man as the lead.
That is right? What I recall them saying. And then there was another instance over the Krypton show where apparently, like, they didn't want Superman's grandparents to be black in the show. But I think Zod's grandparents were black in the show. I don't know. I didn't watch it. But there's been some accusations here and some accusations there, but I don't know how well they kind of apply to the general overall production of the show.
And was Geoff Johns involved on that one too?
I think he was in charge, I think, of Krypton, I think. Let's see here. Geoff Johns, Krypton. Let me make sure I get that right.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe my question would be, like, maybe it was more the angry part that they were focusing on than the black man part. But if that, I mean, still, they just shouldn't have even said that, really, because it's clearly a black guy as the character. So, like, why even bring it up? But I don't know. It seems like there's not enough to make a real judgment. I mean, I used to be, a big fan of Joss Whedon, loved Buffy. Loved Firefly, loved Avengers. Obviously, I actually like Avengers: Age of Ultron more than most people seem to. But I have no problem accepting, just based on the evidence given and the perspectives given about their experiences with him, that he's a piece of shit. He's actually the worst kind of guy because he put feminism up front and is his brand, and then he's also being a shitty person to women.
Yeah, he really hid behind that stuff. Trust me.
But so like I
remember.
actually, and I love Geoff Johns. He's one of my favorite writers from DC ever, really. He's written some of my favorite DC stuff, but like I have no problem, if somebody has done something shitty, being like, all right, yeah, he's a piece of shit, even if I really super respect him. But I just don't see enough here to really take such a hard stance as what I see some people doing with Ray Fisher.
Well, there's a lot there. Again, a lot of it's emotional. There's a lot of information that like I didn't include, but a lot of it's just tweets and things like that. And, I tried finding like overall statements that I could pull from. I think like at the end of it, I want Ray to feel like he's got justice. If those things did happen, then yeah, I think he's, whether or not it was the intent of Geoff Johns or not, I think there's nothing wrong with offering an apology for a miscommunication.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the bigger, there's sometimes in life you just have to kind of go, I was the asshole. Mm-hmm. Whatever the reason for it might be. Sometimes you just got to go, I'm the asshole and I'm sorry. And often that's what most people want. But in Hollywood, unfortunately, you've got a shitload of ego. And that ego it's fucking horse blinders in some cases. So that's a big problem there. But I do need to get to, I guess, H-Bar's at 2 more quick super chats. Thank you, buddy. Says J.R.R. Tolkien finished his books unlike George R.R. Martin. Did he though? I mean, he finished The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but isn't the Silmarillion, if I'm saying that correctly, isn't that
the Silmarillion? I mean,
Silmarillion.
It was finished, but it wasn't really like a traditional narrative structure anyway. So
yeah,
I think the way the way it ended, if he didn't get to finish it, it's fine because it was more like a history book kind of thing.
Okay.
Almost.
Yeah. Either way, I'm fucking stoked as fuck, dude.
Hell yeah.
Like I haven't, I'm looking forward to diving back into that stuff. And then also HBar's here for another $5. Thank you. Says, imagine if Ray did this with Kevin Feige if he went to Marvel. I'll put it to you like this. Kevin Feige, everyone loves Kevin Feige. Yeah. If Kevin Feige was the one who was blocked by Ike Perlmutter from doing not only Captain Marvel, but Black Panther, 2 films that have grossed a shitload of fucking money. Black Panther was a legitimate cultural phenomenon. Yeah. And, and so they trusted in Ryan Coogler to write and direct it. They trusted in Chadwick Boseman. They trusted in the cast. And that was Feige. Feige did his, there's a reason why he was as giddy as he was on the red carpet for the Oscars. Because, he was like, I'm nominated. This is nominated for Best Picture, which is a producer's award. So the best director and best picture, the best director is the director, the best picture are the producers. So, if they would have won Best Picture, which would never fucking happen, but if they would have won Best Picture, then he would have been, that would have been him accepting it, which would have been a gigantic fuck you to Ike Perlmutter. So
I still think the $1 billion is also a gigantic fuck you to Perlmutter.
Oh yeah. 100%, man. 100%. And I think Black Panther 2 is going to do very well this when it comes out this year. True. Even with all the controversy. I don't know if Letitia Wright's going to put in people, but I think it's going to be fun to see. I'm looking forward to it myself. But yeah, no, if Ray Fisher was over at Marvel, nothing like this would happen. But I'm going to tell you this right now, because of the way that the industry operates, I don't believe Ray Fisher will ever be at Marvel because of this. Like, it's because of, when you start making the company look bad, whether you have good reason or not, that echoes throughout Hollywood. I know he's working right now on the Women of the Movement. I hear it's a great show. And I wish him nothing but the best, but Hollywood again is full of ego and word travels around. And
just studios that want to protect their image. And if they worry that they bring you in, you're going to, be kind of shouty about shit and this kind of call out thing, then yeah, they're not going to want to hire you. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I feel like he'll probably continue to work and hopefully in some, good projects. He was good as hell in Justice League. But yeah, I doubt it. We're going to see him take a role as prominent, even as Cyborg. Again, not anytime soon.
I'll tell you where I think we're going to see him next. All right. And that is, I think we're going to see him in Rebel Moon. I think Zach is going to cast him for like Planet of the Dead or Rebel Moon or something like that. And here's the thing with that. It's going to come out and it's going to be like #1 on fucking Netflix, and like 100 million people are going to see it, which is a whole hell of a lot more than who saw the fucking Snyder Cut. Because it hasn't been seen by 100 million people. So, like it's going to come out and it's going to do all that kind of stuff. And I think that's where, look, man, Sandra Bullock said in an interview the other day, she's like, bless Netflix, because without them, people wouldn't be working.
True.
And that's true. And like, that's going to true. So, I mean, look at Apple TV, Hulu, fucking Amazon. That's where everyone's going to go. So it's like, if you can get it on it now, it's still in the bubble. It's still growing. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of, and now because of the pandemic, there's a lot of demand for content. So, I mean, like there's, I think Ray will be fine. It's just, you gotta know how to play the game sometimes. And I think I sometimes I think like he just doesn't, I don't know. But now H Bars here says, what if Zach does not cast Ray? Well,
that's the most boring episode of What If I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah, that pretty much is, man. That's going to be, people are going to burn that bridge when they come to it. Like it's going to happen. There's going to be people out there. They're going to be mad at Zach for not doing it. They're going to ask themselves why it's not happening. Is it, is it Netflix? Is Netflix demanding that Zach, they're going to make up all this shit in their fucking head about it. Mm-hmm. And, so there's all that stuff. But anyway, on that note, because it's I now have to get over to the 24-hour store, but that's okay. I did see Command Unit. I will get to your thing tomorrow, man. We just ran out of time tonight. Let me just make sure I've got a screenshot of that so I don't forget. I want to, because are you a 40K fan by chance?
Nah. Okay, I mean, nothing against it. I just haven't done it. Yeah.
Yeah. Command Unit is a really big, Warhammer 40K fan. And oftentimes likes to come in and drop some super chats to be like, hey, check this out. But he's cool about it and everything. We'll get to it when we can get to it, man. I just apologize for it tonight. Just because I gotta go store. But anyway, so Dane, people can find you Forced Adversity. Can you give people a pitch for your shit, dude?
Yeah, channel is Forced Adversity. A lot of nerdy things, kind of like what we talked about tonight. So Monday evenings, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, we do actual fandom podcast where just me and some friends talk about what we're into, whatever's coming out. Like last week we talked about Peacemaker and John Cena and James Gunn. This coming week, I imagine we'll talk about Eternals and probably Peacemaker some more now that we've actually seen it. And then Wednesdays, my friend Robo and I do the Beta Boys podcast, which is strictly political, social issues going on, and we try to parse the nonsense there as best we can. And then Fridays, as what I did right before this show, was the Flat Scan Friday stream. That's where, if you know the channel at all, that's where you're going to find all the stuff that and love and or hate about Forced Adversity, where I look at chud shit. And make fun of them and expose their hypocrisy and so on and so forth. So yeah, head over and subscribe. I'm almost to 5,000 subs. You guys could help me get up to that 5K. I'd fucking love you. So yeah,
go and check him out. He's got a good channel. I watch it. I watch it pretty frequently. So they kept me. They talked about me for a long time tonight. So I was very tuned in.
Well, you name dropped me in your chat with
because it was an oppressive debate with the fucking moron, and you got him to admit the game, and I just wanted to bring it up, and it got deflected. But there is a moment in there where he says he's the president of the company, and I'm all like, so you're absolving yourself of all responsibility as the president of the company? Okay, Jeff Bezos.
Well, yeah, then you could have turned around. You also could have been like, okay, so Biden's not responsible for anything that is happening right now, right? You don't get to complain about Biden anymore. But, yeah.
That's not how this works. But all right. Oh, I just looked it up real quick. The Command Unit thing's only a minute. Dane, if you want to bail, you can bail. I'm just going to watch this real quick.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's what is this? Exterminatus cinematic. It's for a mobile game, I believe. Let's check this one out a little bit. Thankfully, these trailers are kind of short.
It's the only solution.
Admiral Spire. It is said that heresy is like a tree.
Its roots lie in darkness, while its leaves wave in the sun. You can prune away its branches, even cut the tree to the ground, but it will grow again, ever stronger. Such is the nature of heresy, and why it is so difficult to destroy. Some may question my right to destroy a world of 10 billion souls. But those who truly understand realize that I have no right to let them live. No sacrifice is too great. No treachery too small.
All right.
That looks fucking dope.
There's a lot of really cool like lore there.
Yeah.
And a lot of planet killing.
I'm all for killing planets. Love it.
The guy's like, I don't have to kill 10 billion of you, but fuck it. Like that's the vibe I got out of that. You know, like I mean, like, I could let you live, but you know what? Thanos was right.
Yeah, but I'm kind of bored. So yeah.
Hey, dance for me, you bitches. Maybe I'll keep you alive. That's.
Thanks for having me on, Matt. Appreciate it, man. As always.
Yeah, man. Let me. All right. So, all right. I'm gonna fuck off, everyone. Have yourself a great night. I should be on tomorrow. I might take it off, but we'll see. Keep an eye out. I'll post it early. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night and peace.